You can find homeless people around different parts of the city, and they will most likely be sleeping. When you get close to them or walk around, they will actually wake up from the noise and ask you to go away. If you're on a tight budget but still want to lower your car's suspension, you don't need to head to Los Santos Customs. All you need is a gun. Just aim at the very center of your car's wheels, not the tires, but the hub of the wheel, and just shoot. You will see the car's suspension lower down after a few shots, and I have no idea why this works, but apparently it's just one of those little odd GTA mechanics that somehow made it into the game. Okay, I know this sounds stupid, but if you take a good look at the GTA 5 map, it starts to resemble something oddly familiar, Homer Simpson. It might not really be the case, but the way the map is shaped, especially the outline, has led fans to make the hilarious comparison. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
I'm gonna put you in the fucking ground, you laugh at me again! Man, calm down.
If you go into the water in GTA 5, your clothes only get wet up to where the water reaches. It's a small detail, but it's exactly these little things that make the game feel so alive. Now that you've got your clothes wet, let me tell you how long it takes to dry them off. 1 minute and 10 seconds to be precise. That's exactly how long it takes for the clothes to completely dry off, no matter what you're wearing. After you've exited your car after a long drive, if you listen closely, you can hear this tiny knocking sound, which is what happens when your engine cools down. When you're at a beach and leave your character idle for some time, they will actually start staring at, well, attractive women on the beach. Even the camera zooms in for clarity. This one's kind of weird, but pretty funny. When you're playing as Michael and have a 2 or 3 star wanted level, if the cops chase you inside your house and you take out a bunch of them, then head to Jim's room and start smoking a bong. The cops just stand there watching Michael get high and they don't do anything about it, which is strange, but definitely funny.
If only I didn't lie, cheat so much. If only I wasn't such an asshole.
I don't know if you guys remember this, but when you're unarmed in the car, you can actually show other drivers the finger by pressing the attack button. It's always cool to have that option.
People say I'm a disgrace to society.
Not many people have noticed this, but during the Polito score mission, the police say on the radio that they are setting up roadblocks to catch the robbers.
After that, we're gonna set up checkpoints on the Great Ocean Highway and the Sonora Freeway. Car-to-car searches and record checks.
Most people just follow directions to steer away from roadblocks, of course, but if you check closely, those roadblocks are real checkpoints where cops actually stop and check every car. And once they spot you, there is no way out. You might have seen this giant chicken statue outside the Clock and Bell Farms factory, but if you zoom in on it, the chicken is actually wearing a traffic cone, which can be shot off, of course. We have driven hundreds of hours on GTA 5's roads, but have you stopped and noticed how there are basically no street names or even directions to the areas? This is really weird, but also gets me curious as to why. There are plenty of car modification garages in GTA 5, but one of them is actually called the Cartoon Network, which is a really clever way of referencing the Cartoon Network channel. You might have seen this building called Bishop's UTF with a UFO on it, and that is just another decoration piece from Rockstar. However, if you visit that museum and stand near that UFO, you will actually start to hear these strange alien noises coming out of it. Let me know what you guys think is happening there. You might have seen this Broiler Bites billboard from afar and just thought it's chicken wings or something like that, but if you zoom in on it, I mean, I don't even have to tell you what it shows. In GTA 5, there are these electric panels in certain areas of the game. If you touch them or get too close to one, you will actually get electrocuted and thrown away by the electric shock. This also happens when you run into the grid lines or the transformers. When you change the radio station in GTA 5, the dashboard in your car actually shows the exact name of the station that's playing. You can check this out by switching to first-person mode. Here's another cool thing you can only experience in first-person mode. When you put on sunglasses, your whole view actually gets tinted based on the shade of the glasses you're wearing. Pretty dope, I would say. And we all know how it's forbidden to use phones while driving. Even GTA 5 punishes you for that. If you're on your phone while driving, the game doesn't let you pull the handbrake because your hands are busy, nor can you change the radio station or change the headlights intensity. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this in GTA 5 before, but if you make your characters run non-stop, they can actually get tired to the point that they begin to have a heart attack. Everyone in Michael's family drives their own car, and if you check out Tracy's, her license plate says Perseus. This is actually the name of the high-end clothing brand from GT4. It's one of those sneaky ways Rockstar connects their games. We all know NPCs can call the cops if you mess with them for too long. But something a lot of people don't realize is that you can do the same to them. If an NPC starts attacking you, just pull out your phone and call the police. They will actually show up and defend you. You can also do that to the ammunition store owner. Just aim at him, let him flip out, then call the cops. They will actually roll up and take him down like he's the real criminal here. Not sure if this is a bug or Rockstar just trolling us, but if you call a taxi and ask it to drop you inside of the military base, it actually does. Like, it just drives right in, and yeah, the second you step out, the military goes full alert and starts shooting. It's hilarious because why would that even be allowed in the first place? If you ram your car hard into a wall or shoot up the engine, then hop back in and switch to first person mode, take a look at the dashboard. You will actually see the tiny engine light turn on. It's like in real life. It's a tiny thing, but it's crazy how detailed Rockstar went with stuff like this. If you mess with NPCs, bump into them or talk trash, they will usually start swearing and acting all tough. But as soon as you pull out a gun, their attitude completely changes and they become much more humble. During many of our encounters with Jimmy, he can be seen playing video games on his TV. However, here is something interesting that you guys might not have tried. When playing as Franklin during the car recovery mission, if you visit Jimmy's room and shoot his TV with a silenced gun, it gets blacked out. But Jimmy continues to play the game as if the TV is still on.
Well, you suck Batman's dick.
Speaking of stealing cars, have you noticed that every character in GT5 steals car differently? Michael asks the NPC to get out of the car without using violence.
Forgive me, sweetheart.
On the other hand, Trevor right away bashes their head and drags them out of their car. It really depends on their in-game personality. We all know about Floyd's teddy on Trevor's truck that he is tied to the grills in the front like some sort of trophy. But if you turn on the first person cam inside of Trevor's truck, things get weirder. You can find these photos of women with suspicious looking white stains on them, and a message that says, "Don't forget to wipe." Here's something you might not have tried, but if you follow one of the other main characters outside of a mission for long enough, they will actually react to it. At first, they will throw out a few voice lines.
You go grab us a ride.
Clearly annoyed, but keep stalking them, and eventually they will turn around and smack you so hard you get knocked out cold.
Leave me alone.
Which triggers a full-on wasted screen. This is pretty weird, but when you run into the pedestrians sitting on the bench, they actually die, like instantly. In fact, all it takes is a simple nudge and they will just fall and die. Only in GT5 will you find something this hilarious. But head over to the car wash and check out the price list. A regular car wash costs $9, but for just $2 more, you get the car wash with a smile package. Most of us probably don't pay much attention to GT5's stock market, but if you do, you will notice it actually reacts to in-game events. For example, when Jay Norris gets killed on live TV, his company's stock takes a major hit and crashes. Here's another cool detail you probably missed. Expensive cars in GT5 have better soundproofing compared to the older models. When you're driving an old car in the rain, you can clearly hear the raindrops hitting the roof. But hop into a more fancy one, and those sounds practically disappear. It's pretty amazing for a game that's over a decade old, but in GT5, when an NPC dies, their body temperature actually drops, just like in real life. If you want to see it for yourself, use the thermal goggles. You will notice how the heat gradually fades from their body, which is a surprisingly realistic touch. Clocks in GT5 actually tell accurate time. It's not the real world time, but the accurate in-game time, which is updated in real time. Just look at any clock in the game, and if you want to check if it's working, just pull out your smartphone and compare. It will be totally accurate. It even works for the clocks inside shops you can't even enter. Pretty cool, don't you think? At Michael's house, you can find a gardener outside watering the plants. Everything looks normal until you make him drop the hose, and the water starts coming out of his hand instead. If you bump into NPCs wearing glasses, their glasses will actually fall off. The same thing happens if you throw a punch at them. I don't know if this is some sort of glitch or trick to save some processing power, but when you're at the lighthouse in GT5, if you look directly at the light, it moves around in circles. But when you look away from it, the light actually stops moving. It just stays right in the same place. This is something you might have heard before, but if you drive over stones with your car, they can actually break. In fact, they turn into tiny pieces. It's a small detail, but still fantastic. You can also find a newspaper article in GT5 featuring a photo of Johnny Klebitz with the headline that reads "Loves-Hate Relationship with Taxes," which originally showed up in GT4 tied to Donald Love. It's a nice throwback for those who have been playing since the old days. If you ever visit Lester's house, or lair, whatever you want to call it, you can find some really interesting stuff, like this book called Surveillance, which actually has a photo of CJ on the cover for whatever reason. When you go after an NPC who's walking their dog, the dog will actually jump in and start attacking you too, right alongside its owner. You might have seen this woman standing by the side of the road ready to hop into your car if it looks nice. What's funny is that they don't even notice if it's a police car until you turn on the siren. Then they freak out and run away as fast as they can. There are plenty of street artists in GT5 and some of them love to cosplay. You can find a bunch around Vinewood. One guy's dressed up like a zombie and he's like fully committed to it. Another one I saw was rocking a full Master Chief costume, which is awesome if you're a Halo fan. You've probably seen the big O fruit stalls all around Los Santos with that huge orange ball on top. What most of you don't know is that if you shoot at it, it actually breaks loose and rolls away. The ball is pretty heavy and can crush anyone standing in its way. You probably remember Michael's iconic line, "You forget 1,000 things every day, make sure this is one of them." But did you know it actually comes from a Solomon Richards movie called Arthur's Penny Sanitarium? The original line isn't an exact match. It goes,
We forget 1,000 things every day. Can't we just make this one of them?
Arthur Penny's Sanatorium.
Rockstar obviously tweaked it a bit. If you've just had a conversation with a character in GT5 and try calling them again right after, they will actually remember you just talked, and instead of the usual friendly chat, they will tell you to hang up and stop bothering them.
Are you serious? We just hung out. You gotta get a life.
Okay, well, then back to playing with myself.
Hey, Frank, let's do something.
Hey, can you call me another time? We was just speaking.
No worries, man. I'll see you soon.
Hey, homie, wanna hang out, man?
Hey, we was just talking, homie. You turning into one of them anterograde amnesiac niggas?
Okay, homie, some other time.
There are some spots in GTA5 where you can find telescopes meant for looking into the distance. But here's the thing, they're pretty useless compared to your phone's camera. If you zoom in with your phone, you can actually see way clearer and more detailed than through those telescope lenses. And honestly, we've barely scratched the surface. GT5 is packed with way more crazy details that most players never even notice. So if this blew your mind even a little, just wait till GT6 drops. We've all seen billboards in GT5 poking fun at real life people and events. But have you noticed the one where the LSPD is hiring cops? Just check out what they are offering. A short career, long retirement, full pension, and a gun for life. A gun for life. Who wouldn't want to join, huh? If you ever happen to snoop around Michael's bathroom for whatever reason, you might spot a tube of toothpaste from a company called CJ's. Now at first, you might think, wait, did CJ from San Andreas go from gang life to making toothpastes? That's what I thought too, but after digging a bit deeper, turns out it's actually a little Easter egg from Rockstar. CJ is a nod to Campbell John Dick, one of their lead artists. On the other hand, if you visit Trevor's bathroom, you will find Lax to the Max lubricant and a bunch of tissues lying around, for whatever weird reason. Now, have you seen those barriers on the highway? You might be surprised to learn that they actually work. If you crash into them at high speed, your car barely takes any damage. That's way different from hitting a solid object, which usually breaks your car completely. I don't know if you have noticed this, but when it's raining, you can hear pattering sounds when the rain hits your car. Speaking of sounds, if you break your car's windows or windshield, glass pieces will fall on the ground, and when you walk over them, you can actually hear a crunching sound like the glass is breaking under your shoes. Speaking of shoes, did you know that the shoes that you wear also make different sounds? Something like slippers tend to make less noise compared to boots that make loud noises when you walk. You probably think Trevor's only got that one special ability. You know, the rage mode where he takes less damage and deals some extra, but that's not it. He's got another trick up his sleeve. Turns out, his truck has a special CB radio from his military days, and it lets him listen in on private conversations. It actually picks up frequencies that other vehicles just can't.
Hey Clyde, I'm gonna be late to work. My car won't start.
Pretty cool, huh? In GTA 5 story mode, if you visit Franklin's aunt's house, there's a photo of a kid holding a basketball. That's actually young Franklin. It's a small detail, but pretty cool once you notice it. And if you missed it in the story mode, don't worry. You can still spot the same photo in GTA Online if you buy that house. While we're still at Franklin's aunt's house, don't forget to meet the Mario brothers at their front yard. There are two mushrooms, one short and red, and the other tall and green. It's most likely a sneaky reference to Mario and Luigi. Now if you go inside of Tracy's room, preferably when she's not invited anyone over, you can find a picture of what appears to be her grandparents. But they can't be Michael's parents, considering how he had a terrible childhood, and he wouldn't be carrying their photos around. And they also seem more closely related to Amanda, judging from their looks. So it's likely Amanda's parents. I'm sure you've all heard about the creepy abandoned place called the Derelict Motel, but did you know it's actually based on a real motel? It looks almost exactly like the one that used to be in Salton Sea, California. Rockstar really nailed the look to make it feel super authentic. Speaking of creepy stuff, if you visit the Rebel Radio building at night and stand right under the radio tower, you will hear this weird beeping sound. Fans actually figured out it's Morse code, and the message is a secret from the Altruist cult. Here's what it says. It's been, I don't know how many years since I've been playing this game, but I've only just come to realize that fire trucks can actually be used to clean liquid stains from the ground. You can clean up blood from the street or even gasoline poured on the ground, which I'm sure most of you didn't know either, did you? In GTA 5, if you're out in the open at night and look up in the sky, you will see stars and even the moon. It looks really beautiful, but if you're in the middle of the city surrounded by buildings, you will notice that stars barely show up because of all the light pollution, which is actually a thing in real life. Have you guys noticed these strips while driving on the highway? These are called rumble strips, and they are placed on highways to wake the driver up in case they get sleepy driving. And so it seems that even GTA 5 has these strips on the highways to make sure that players don't fall asleep. Speaking of real-life safety measures, here's another one. Cars in GTA 5 by default have headlights that have high intensity on the driver's side and lower intensity on the opposite side. This is used in some countries to protect the oncoming traffic from getting blinded by headlights. When you're driving through a tunnel in GTA 5 while using the Jeep, you will actually lose the GPS signal for a bit. It's a small detail, but it shows how carefully Rockstar thought about even the little things in the game. NPCs in GTA 5 might seem a bit dumb sometimes, but they do try to stay alive. For example, when they're crossing the street and the light is red, they walk slowly. But as soon as the light turns green and they're still on the zebra crossing, they start running to get out of the way of traffic. Okay, this next one kind of makes sense, but if you shoot down a vending machine, it actually stops working. Also, when you shoot at an NPC's hand while they are holding onto something that they just grabbed from the vending machine, it actually falls off their hand. Speaking of broken things, if you shoot the siren on cop cars, they start making this weird glitchy sound. We all think GTA 5 was the first game in the series to feature multiple protagonists, right? Well, it turns out Rockstar originally planned that way back in San Andreas. According to Leslie Benzies, the team wanted to let players switch between characters, but the idea was scrapped because the tech just wasn't there yet. I mean, just think how cool that would have been though. So if CJ wasn't the only lead, who would rather want to play? Drop your top 3 picks down in the comments. Speaking of scrapped ideas, here's one you probably didn't know. During San Andreas development, there was actually another radio station planned called Dopalicious FM on top of all the stations we already have. For whatever reason, Rockstar ended up removing it from the final version. Kinda sucks honestly. If it had made a cut, we probably would have had even more hip-hop and R&B bangers to listen while shooting pets. This might sound really weird, and I almost didn't believe it when I first heard it, but there's a German version of GTA San Andreas where if you shoot down an NPC, nothing really happens. Unlike in the normal game where they cough up money, in this one, they simply die. That's because the German censor board considered this whole game mechanic to be too brutal. I mean, come on guys. But you know what really is brutal and dark? NPCs just kinda unaliving themselves. I've mentioned NPCs doing weird stuff in past GTA videos, like in GTA 5, they will sometimes drive straight off bridges to die, but in San Andreas, they casually walk into the ocean, like they've had enough. Why does this happen? No clue guys. Maybe they've become self-aware and can't handle this cruel world anymore. Or it might be a subtle nod to Rockstar's old Lemmings game from the 90s where little dudes just leapt to their death for no reason. Speaking of old game references, remember that super weird mission in San Andreas where you drive a giant harvester and just mow down NPCs? Well, it turns out that whole thing was actually inspired by one of Rockstar's own older games called Body Harvest, same exact name, which dropped on the Nintendo 64. In that game, you were running over zombies instead of regular people, so it felt slightly less horrible. Do you all remember that annoying supply lines mission from Zero? The RC plane mission that had you take out moving vans with this tiny, wobbly RC plane and somehow not run out of fuel? Fans still rank it as one of the hardest and enraging missions in GTA history, right up there with Demolition Man. But guys, we're not alone here. Even David Cross, the guy who voiced Zero, hated it. He said in an interview, "It was so annoying, I hated it, and I couldn't freaking do it. The RC thing, it's impossible." We might not have smartphones in GTA San Andreas to take photos, but we do have a camera. And yeah, maybe you've handed it to one of your Grove Street homies to snap a photo, but did you know your girlfriends actually pose when you take photos? I mean, you just have to take the camera out while hanging out with one of your girlfriends, point it somewhere nice, and they will actually step into frame and start posing. While we're on the topic of CJ's girlfriends, let's talk about Denise. She's easily the chillest one to date, not too picky about where you take her, and super easy to please. But here's something most players don't realize. Denise might actually be a low-key call girl. It's never said outright, but there are a bunch of hints. She hangs around with the Los Santos Vagos, which is already suspicious in its own, and when you hit 100% progress with her, she gives you a pimp suit, and even her car is literally called a hustler, which is like the clear slang for a sex worker. Oh, and she apparently had 3 kids from unwanted pregnancies. This whole kinky stuff got me researching for some of the most random facts I could find about San Andreas, and I came across what could be considered the most important question where someone in the GTA forum asked if they were disappointed to learn these toys weren't for sale. But here's something really sus. These toys are mostly found inside police stations. That too in the showers of the Los Santos Police Department HQ in Pershing Square. I mean, why? Who at Rockstar thought, you know what this game needs? A nightstick-shaped surprise in the cop showers. Speaking of toys, if you ride your BMX into a paint shop, they actually deny you service by saying, "We don't do toys here." Like, literally. There's a sign near the railway track which appears to be a circle with a stop sign on it. But if you go around the back, the sign actually changes to a square. And if you've ever wondered how to find the center of GTA San Andreas map, let me make it easy for you. At the zero position of the map, there is a pole, which is only half the height of normal poles that you would see in the rest of the game. Now, I think this pole was actually supposed to be some sort of marker for Rockstar guys to keep track of the mid, but they forgot to remove it. Just saying. Rockstar might have forgotten to remove the pole, but they definitely meant to leave those bodies in this mass grave. The body bags mystery is one of San Andreas' creepiest unsolved puzzles. Nobody really knows what dug that grave or who those bodies belong to, but there are tons of wild theories. Some say it's the Syndico crime family, offing the rivals and dumping them there. Others think it might be Mary Beth Mabel, the K-Rose radio DJ who's always talking about her 5 ex-husbands 6 feet under. And then there's the theory that Mr. Trenchcoat, the mysterious dude in Las Venturas, might be behind it all. Mr. Trenchcoat might not be behind the murders, but that guy's surely creepy. He actually believes he was abducted by aliens, and he can only be found in a couple of areas including Bone County and Tierra Robada, and he's the only NPC who's always mumbling these crazy conspiracy theories.
Have you ever seen one of them? The aliens are coming! They're trying to kill me!
Alright guys, I will give you 3 seconds to name one vehicle that's literally undestroyable in GTA San Andreas. Your time starts now. Okay, time's up. Now I'm sure you all thought of that train, right? Well, too easy, but it's actually the BMX. No matter what you do with it, bombard it with rockets, grenades, whatever, it remains unscratched, and you still get to ride it. Now guys, Leviathan, I cannot pronounce this dang name, but Leviathan might not be our favorite helicopter in GTA San Andreas. However, it can do something really cool that other helicopters can't: float on water. You can just land it on the water, do your business, and take off. Now, have you guys ever noticed the wind flag at the old airstrip? If you actually pay attention, it really moves with the wind's direction. But that's not all. It also reacts to changing weather. When there's a thunderstorm rolling in, the flag gets way more active and wild. It's a small detail, but it's those little things that make San Andreas feel so alive. Speaking of thunderstorms, here's a cool little detail. If you're sitting still on a hoverboard out on the water during a storm, the thunderstorm actually pushes it around. The wind and waves don't just look real, they feel real too, messing with your hoverboard even when you're not moving. I might have mentioned this in past GTA Facts videos, but not a lot of people know that the Grove Street families we all love were actually called the Orange Grove families early on. Rockstar changed the name pretty late in development, but some leftovers are still in the game. You will spot graffiti with OGF instead of GSF, and CJ even randomly drops the old name in conversations when talking to other gang members. Now this might just be the weirdest thing in GTA San Andreas, but shooting the moon actually changes its size. You can simply use a sniper to make the moon look bigger, but what's interesting is that it's not a glitch. Apparently, the artists couldn't decide on the moon's size, so Obby Vermage decided to add this feature instead and let the players decide for themselves. We know CJ's mom, Beverly Johnson, died in that Bolus drive-by, but apparently she never really left the house. There have been reports of a ghost that looks just like her haunting the place. Some fans are totally convinced she's still hanging around, watching over Grove Street in her own creepy way. I don't know if you guys already know this, but there's actually a way to get CJ's health to max without using cheats. As soon as you start the game, the first thing you want to do is get an ambulance and complete the first 12 missions, which will bring CJ's health to a max of 176. It's easy and it's super fast. And if you complete all the 12 fire truck missions, CJ actually becomes fireproof. I mean, you can literally walk through fire and not get affected at all. I found this really funny video from Reddit. Check it out.
Give me some dap, homie. Hey, what's going on, man? Looking pumped, homie. You know what, homie? Something to...
Most pedestrians in GTA San Andreas, when they jump into the water, they instantly die like our guy Tommy Vercetti. However, if you get your GSF gang members to follow you into the water, they actually try to swim and manage to do so. Well, for a little while before drowning into the deep water. But I bet this is going to change in GTA 6. Don't you think? I'm sure you guys know about Lockdown, OG Lock's very own clothing brand. During its peak, Lockdown's outfits can be sold up to $200, but after they cut throat business, OG Lock's reputation falls down. His business also takes a massive hit, with pricing getting as low as $15. I'm sure you've all been to casinos in San Andreas and lost a crap ton of money. But it doesn't end when you're zeroed out. In fact, CJ actually starts to go into debt when you keep on betting with no money in your account. In that case, CJ owes the casino a debt that actually needs to be paid by a certain time. Otherwise, the owner will send a bunch of goons to collect the money from CJ, and they will not be friendly. While we're still on the topic of missions, did you know that San Andreas has the most missions out of any GTA game with 100 storyline missions? This is followed by GTA 4 with 88 missions and GTA 5 with 69 missions, because why not? Now this might come as a surprise to you, but out of those 100 missions in GTA San Andreas, Sweet gives CJ the most missions, 15 to be precise. That's like the highest number of missions in all of GTA games, except for Salvatore Leon, who is given 19 missions in Liberty City Stories. GTA San Andreas has plenty of in-game brands where you could get anything from food to clothes and even weapons. But one of my favorites is Hippie Shopper, which is Rockstar's chic teenage joke. It's a parody of Happy Shopper, the real budget grocery chain, with almost the exact same logo, except instead of a happy woman, you get a chill, hippie looking lady with a bandana. We've all been to Reese's barber shop to get a fresh haircut for CJ, but if you look around the shop, you can find 5 photos hanging on the wall in the back. The men in these photos seem to resemble Jackson 5, the American pop band from the 1960s. And guys, once you get your fresh cut and about to leave, sometimes you can actually hear Reese asking CJ to tell Big Smoke to get a haircut.
Tell Big Smoke he needs a cut.
Which is ironic because Big Smoke is bald. Obviously, with CJ giving police the run for their money, it's only fair that the cops know him by his name. So when they actually manage to bust CJ while he's wanted, they would call CJ by his name, urging him to stop this nonsense. He doesn't, of course.
Welcome home, Carl. Glad to be back. You haven't forgotten about us, have you, boy?
Hell no, Officer Tenpenny. I was just wondering what took y'all so long.
This whole thing has given birth to a theory where some fans think that cops actually believe CJ is a monster who keeps on resurrecting. That's why they start shooting him at sight even for the tiniest infractions, like bumping into their car by mistake. We already know Rockstar loves sneaking little connections between their games, and GTA San Andreas is no different. If you head over to the trailer park and Flint intersection, take a close look at the propane gas tanks, zoom in and you will see Carcer gas printed on them. That's a sneaky nod to Carcer City, one from Rockstar's other game, Manhunt. But that's not it. During the architectural espionage missions, you can also spot a picture of a church named Carcer Church. Apparently, the fishes in GTA San Andreas can actually swim, even when they are dead. It's some sort of glitch that occurs when you shoot the fishes with rockets or try to blow them up with grenades. They simply start floating above the water surface. Now, weather and terrain not only affect planes and vehicles, they even have an impact on NPCs with rollerblades. See how they move effortlessly on footpaths, but when they try to move fast on the beach, they actually get stuck in the same place, barely moving inches no matter how hard they try. Have you guys ever wondered what happened to CJ after the events of GTA San Andreas? Well, turns out he lived a life of crime and used all the money he earned into going legit. And apparently, he did become a businessman, as you can tell from his billboard seen in GTA 4. He's CJ, right? Apparently, CJ's mom isn't the only ghost in GTA San Andreas. We also have ghost cars. Well, basically, they've been named ghost cars by the players because they spawn in remote countryside areas of the map and they drive around with no driver inside. I mean, that truly sounds like a ghost car to me. Among all weird things in GTA San Andreas, this phenomenon is more of a proven thing than a hoax. If you stand still and stare at the sky at night, you can spot these random black dots falling from the sky at very high speed. No one really knows what they are and why they seem to be falling from the sky all around the map, but they just do, so do what you will with this info. Stars aren't the only thing that seems to be falling from the sky. On Mount Chiliad, you can find NPCs randomly spawning and jumping straight off the mountain. Surprisingly, they don't die. They just fall right down at the bottom and find their way to the nearest road. Here's something more random and yet at the same time quite mysterious. When you take this path along Fort Carson movie theater and then head to the trailer park, you will experience an explosion near the liquor shop. If you take a closer look, it's likely from the bike parked there, but the bike is unscratched. So what really happened here? Well, there's also a Molotov, which could be the one that exploded. Okay, trust me, this is the last ghost thing I'm gonna talk about. Just like the ghost cars, you can also spot a ghost Maverick. It has no guns attached, no searchlight, no loudspeaker, and yet it has all of them somehow. If you manage to take a look inside, there is not even a pilot. I also found this super old video by a YouTuber named Afi Kasasi. It's 15 years old and super blurry, but you can see he spotted the scaffolding around the building with blood marks on the floor. Could it just be paint? I mean, the building's kinda under construction. What do you guys think? I'm sure you guys know about the hot coffee controversy, but that isn't the only time GTA San Andreas crossed the line. In fact, there's a designated area in GTA San Andreas located near the northeastern edge of Red County, near Palomino Creek, and according to Ellis Police Department, it's a local beauty spot notorious as a makeout location, popular with young couples and dirty old men. Of course, you don't see anything fishy happening now, but who knows how San Andreas could have turned out without all those restrictions. We all know there are no children in GTA games, because of its super violent nature. And of course, Rockstar don't want to have to deal with any more legal stuff with every single GTA game. But they were supposed to be part of GTA's world. We see abandoned strolls in the game, mention of children in radios, and there is even a portrait of a family hanging out in Reese's shop with a female kid standing beside her parents. But you know what's more interesting? This NPC might actually have been a kid, because in rare instances, when you hit her with your car, they actually squeal like a kid and even scream "mommy" for some reason. Back in 2018, data miners found this trash can texture that read 23, and this weird word, which kinda read Kefron or Keflom. Fans thought it was somehow related to the mysterious Epsilon project, but if you pay attention to Truth's conversation with CJ, he also mentions the number 23. Take a listen to this conversation.
Do you know how many government satellites are watching any citizen at any moment?
No.
23. Do you know how many religious relics are kept at the Pentagon?
No, I don't.
23. You see a pattern emerging here, man?
Man, I'm seeing patterns all over the place. Get that smoke out my face.
He says how there are 23 religious relics kept at the Pentagon with a total of 69. He tells him about 2/3 of those, with 1/3 still missing, and some fans believe this trash can could just be it. The Genotron is an arcade game inside of GTA San Andreas that you might have already seen billboards of. It seems harmless. I mean, it's an arcade game device after all, but apparently not. According to Martin Trill, this game is actually a government project that is designed to feed cryptic messages into people's brains to control their thoughts.
I hear what you're saying about video games. People are dying every day of malaria, and it's all because of the messages planted in our minds from that degenitron in the 80s. Line 18.
And it's actually based on the real-life Polybius urban legend, according to which it was part of a government-run crowdsourced psychology experiment with gameplay producing intense psychotic and addictive effects in the player. Well, that's creepy. Rockstar and their pun with statues go hand in hand. We've seen Hillary Clinton's statue in GTA 4 as the Statue of Happiness, but in GTA San Andreas, during the US business missions, you can actually find a statue which kinda shows a man, well, satisfying his urges, while 4 other statues surrounding it covered their eyes in disbelief. And wait, is that a freaking penis? After all this kinky stuff, if you're feeling like making a confession to God, you even got a freaking drive-thru confession cabin in GTA San Andreas where passerbys can stop and receive a sermon. The windshields in cars are actually tougher than the side windows, just like they are in real life. You can actually test it by shooting both. The windshield will take more hits before shattering, whereas the side windows break right away. While we're still talking about cars, here's another small detail. When you shoot at police car sirens, they don't just stop working. Instead, the sound gets distorted based on how much damage the siren takes. And if you take a look at this video, this is how they sound before I shoot them. And this is how they sound after they are damaged. Pretty neat, right? If you've been playing GTA 5 for a long time on PC, I'm pretty sure you remember how long it used to take to jump from GTA single player to online. Well, one clever modder came up with a solution that drastically reduced those insane load times, and Rockstar was so impressed that they officially implemented it into the game. And they didn't just stop there. They rewarded the modder with $10,000 and gave them a shout out in their official site. Do you guys remember Eddie Lowe, the creepy serial killer from GTA 4? Well, it seems like he might have made his way into GTA 5, or at least someone with the same name. If you're driving as Trevor in his own truck, you can catch this strange yet hilarious conversation between a truck driver and a security guard. The truck driver seems to share the name with the serial killer Eddie Lowe from GTA 4. This is a really fun Easter egg that's so easy to miss.
This is Eddie Lowe. I just damn near clipped that electric Indian. Eddie Lowe? That's me. Ain't you a serial killer? Yeah, very funny. So what if we had the same name? You think I'd be driving a truck all day if I was a serial killer?
I thought all you truckers were serial killers.
Screw you! What the hell you do for a living?
I'm a security guard.
Ha! A damn rent-a-cop. Go sit in the chair and watch the world go by.
Hey, don't be mad at me because you're a truck driver with a serial killer's name.
One of the funniest scenes when switching to Trevor is finding him on a Faggio, chasing another NPC on a scooter and constantly yelling "Scooter Brother."
We are Scooter Brothers! Scooter Brothers!
cars. I'm sure you know, but this hilarious moment is actually a reference to YouTuber Brad Simmons, who went viral for his antics in GTA 4, shouting the same phrase whenever he tailed another NPC on a scooter.
We are Scooter Brothers! Scooter Brothers! We are brothers on scooters!
The way Rockstar immortalized this meme is pretty hilarious. Sometimes even the biggest developers give in to laziness, even Rockstar. You look at this cargo boat standing in Los Santos shipping facility. If you've played GTA 4, it might look a little bit familiar. Well, it's almost identical to the Platypus cargo ship from Liberty City, except it's called Octopus in GTA 5. Sure, the textures are upgraded, but it's essentially the same model. Call it an Easter egg or whatever, but I think they were just lazy. While we're still on the topic of boats, there's another ship that seems to have been borrowed from another Rockstar game to GTA 5. I'm talking about the Dignity Super Yacht, the luxurious ship that looks shockingly familiar to the one we see in Max Payne 3. Are we still calling it an Easter egg, or is it just Rockstar being lazy? Do you remember El Rubino's Panther, the one he fed his right-hand man to? He's mostly caged and no one really expected to see him roaming about, but it's possible to see the Panther on the loose when you're just about to escape the island. Most players only hear its distant growl, but a lucky few have spotted the Panther up close, like this one ready through. We saw it lurking on the stairs outside a building. During the complications mission, Simon, the car dealer, tasks Franklin with repossessing a car that Michael's son, Jimmy, bought. When you head to Michael's house to grab the SUV, you won't notice, but this car actually sounds off compared to the usual BJ. It's got a more aggressive engine tone, almost as if it's been modified somehow. Let me show the difference here. This is how the standard BJ sounds. And this is how Jimmy's BJ sounds. I mean, it's pretty useless info, but then again, you asked for it. If you've ever wandered around Los Santos, you might have noticed some garbage cans with RSNRTH written on them. That's short for Rockstar North. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, so let's just drop a comment down there and we'll see how many of us actually agree to this. It turns out that OG Locke from San Andreas made a fine career later on, because Franklin has some records in his home, and one of them is actually from OG Locke. He also has another one from Mad Dog, who was already a pretty big name in San Andreas. Looks like Franklin is a fan of boat.
Saw Mr. Clinton up in his office talking with Mad Dog earlier. I gotta say, Mr. Clinton looked kind of starstruck.
There's an NPC in Los Santos wearing a similar outfit as Grove Street Gang, but an orange color. If you attack that guy, he would say something like, "Man, I thought we were the same set." Now the reason why he says that is because earlier in the development, GSF was actually called Orange Grove Families. Here's what their logo looks like. You can actually find these logos repeated across different walls in San Andreas still. In Franklin's home, you can find this book with the title Red Dead, authored by none other than Jay Marston. While some might think it refers to John Marston, Red Dead Redemption 2 fans know the truth. It's Jack Marston, John's son, who always dreamt of becoming a writer. Looks like Jack achieved this goal after all.
You think you're funny?
Here's another GTA San Andreas Easter egg that you might not know about. In a small bar at Jello Jack, if you zoom in on the announcement board, you can actually find this rare $69 bill with the GTA San Andreas poster girl and the medal. Have you guys seen this before? This is really weird, but some rocks in GTA 5 are actually crushable. I mean, you can drive over them and they actually break down into smaller pieces. We don't see that happening to other objects in the game, but this makes me excited for what GTA 6 might have to offer in terms of breakable environments. If you pay attention to Franklin's car, his Buffalo has a number plate that says FC 1988. The FC stands for Franklin Clinton, of course, and the 1988 part is his birth year. That makes Franklin around 24 to 25 years old at the start of GTA 5. We all know by now that the train in GTA 5 is practically unstoppable. We've been trying to stop it in every way possible, but Rockstar made sure that we absolutely can't. But it wasn't always this way. Before one of the early updates, you could actually stop the train by attaching a few sticky bombs to the front compartment. The bombs wouldn't derail it, but it would make it come to a full stop just like that. But for some reason, Rockstar decided to get rid of it, but you can still, using some mods, destroy the train. But what's the fun in that? Chop might seem lazy most of the time, but he's not as useless as you think. He can actually sniff out useful stuff for you, like armor, collectibles, and even Easter eggs. Oh, and here's something very random. Chop has his own phone number in the game. You can call it if you want, but nothing really happens. Weird, right? GTA 5 also has its own version of a James Bond car, the JB700, which just means James Bond with 007 written backward. This beauty is inspired by the iconic Aston Martin DB5 from the movies, and even comes with a 4G3NT license plate, which looks a lot like Agent. This is totally random, but you can actually shoot stuff like drinks out of someone's hands. While we're talking about useless things, let's not forget the safe in your CEO office. Just saying. I'm sure you've all seen UFOs in GTA 5, but I bet not all of them. There are at least 5 UFOs in the game, 3 flying above Mount Chiliad, Fort Zancudo, and Sandy Shores, 1 submerged underwater, and 1 in the hippie camp. Weirdly enough, some of the UFOs have markings from the FIB, suggesting these aren't alien spacecraft at all, but some shady government experiments. Maybe this explains the real-life sightings in the real world the past few years. In the GTA 5 mission, Derailed, one of the gold medal objectives is to land on the train on your first attempt. If you pull it off, you will unlock the hilarious title Better Than CJ. It's like Rockstar still mocking our guy CJ for the whole "all we had to do was follow the damn train CJ" line.
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
Under a highway in the Grand Sonora Desert, there's another CJ reference. It's a graffiti tag that looks like a random string of numbers at first glance. However, those digits cleverly correspond to the first letters of CJ's famous "all we had to do was follow the damn train" dialogue. This makes me wonder just what else Rockstar has hidden in plain sight. Back in 2010, when Rockstar was still working on GTA 5, which they called Project Rush at the time, Michael's character was originally named Albert De Silva. At some point, they decided to change it to Michael, and honestly, it's a good thing they did. Albert De Silva just doesn't hit the same way. Now, I'm not sure who needs to know this, but apparently, every character in GTA 5 has a different sleep schedule. Michael has the shortest sleep time of 6 hours, while Franklin sleeps for 8 hours, and Trevor, well, he sleeps for half a day, or 12 hours. This might be because he does meth, which is known to cause sleepiness and fatigue, and he often finds himself in the weirdest of places after he falls asleep under the influence.
Fuck off! Sleep in here.
This one's a little weird, and it might just be a glitch, but some houses in Los Santos have windows that spurt blood when you shoot them. Yeah, instead of just shattering like regular windows, or well, just leaving a simple bullet hole, they squirt out blood like a person just got shot. It's definitely strange and totally creepy. So is this just some sort of glitch, or is it actually an Easter egg? Let me know what you guys think. You might already know this one, but yeah, there's Kanye West in GTA 5, or at least a guy who looks like him. Could it be a coincidence, guys? I don't think so. The character's got the same flashy style and attitude, so it's definitely a chic and nod to the rapper. In the Cayo Perico heist cutscene, there's a female character introduced by Minnie Madrazo who bears some resemblance to Kylie Jenner. Her name is Kaylee, and Madrazo mentions that she has more followers than the Pope.
This beautiful piece is Kaylee. She's got more fucking followers than the Pope.
What's up?
Which seems like a subtle jab at the real-life celebrity. And if you notice, she is constantly glued to her phone throughout the scene, hardly paying attention to anything going on around her. Could Rockstar have been trolling Kylie Jenner in this way? The similarities are hard to ignore, and it certainly feels like a cheeky reference to her. What do you guys think? There's an NPC that you mostly find around the strip club in GTA Online, and he's wearing the sports jersey with Hopkins 00 written on the back of it. It's actually a reference to Jimmy Hopkins, the main character from Rockstar's classic game Bully, which reminds me to ask this: who else is waiting for Bully's sequel? For some weird reason, your character has better recoil control in first person rather than third person. You can actually test it out by shooting at a wall. This is what the recoil looks like in first person, and this is what it looks like in third person. You can see the difference here. When you light up a car in areas where fire trucks can actually reach, the fire seems to last a lot longer. But when the same happens in a remote area, the fire dies after a short time, like real quickly, because it knows no one's actually coming. When you pull up to a red light in your sports car and there's another one, you can actually rev your engine or perform a burnout, and it will make the other driver race you when the light turns green. If you're inside one of your MC facilities and decide to switch to CEO, the game will immediately kick you out of the building because CEOs aren't allowed to hang out in MC businesses. But hey, it could actually come in handy if you're in a hurry to leave the facility. If you try to steal one of Michael's family members' cars, you will get some serious threats, especially from Amanda. They will know right away, and Michael will text you that Amanda's mad and will go to war with you over it. In the Smuggler's Run mission, Trevor needs a dune buggy to complete his task. This mission is a clever callback to the classic Rockstar's game Smuggler's Run, which also featured the iconic dune buggy. I'm sure you didn't even know about this game, but yeah, it was from Rockstar and it was released like 25 years ago, before most of you were even born, including myself. Let's talk about the yellow dog with a cone, a little item in GTA 5 that became an internet sensation. For some reason, the sad looking dog statue with a cone around its neck just became a hit, with fans creating countless memes. They even created a whole subreddit where fans could come up together to worship it, sharing our theories and the occasional praise the cone joke. We've all noticed how shops and businesses in GTA games open and close depending on the time of day, but this neat little detail also applies to the Coast Guard huts on the beach. If you're strolling along the beach just before sunset, you can actually watch the shutters on these huts closing as it gets darker. It's such a small detail that many players miss, because who actually cares? Most weapons in GTA won't let you aim directly straight up, like a 90-degree angle, except for the flare gun, which you can aim above your head. Bet you didn't know this. Each character in GTA 5 has a different cell phone. Michael has an iPhone, Franklin has an Android device, and Trevor, well, he's kinda into Windows, so probably Nokia. This actually shows their social status, and that makes Michael the richest of them, but it wasn't always like that. Michael didn't even have a smartphone to begin with. He was in fact using an old school keypad phone before the prologue heist. If you're in the mood for some sightseeing in Los Santos, there's actually a tour bus that comes around in the western Vinewood area early in the morning.
As I am contractually obliged to say, buckle up everyone, it's showtime.
You can actually get on the bus and it will take you on a sightseeing tour around the city. You can just sit back, take some pictures, and look at the view. It makes you feel like an actual tourist, and it lasts around 20 minutes.
On your right, you'll see the world-famous Gentry Manor Hotel, a legendary party hangout for actors and rock stars and people trying to have sex with actors and rock stars.
Now let's talk about pedestrians. In GTA 5, every single pedestrian isn't just a random model. They have daily routines. Some wake up, go to work, hit a bar, go home, sleep, repeat. If you stalk them long enough, yeah, we're going full stalker mode, you can watch their lives fall apart. They get fired, they cheat, they get arrested, they disappear. And in GTA 4, it even goes further. Some NPCs actually text each other behind the scenes. They react to crimes you commit even if they are not nearby, and one woman will cry out your name in terror only if you've killed her boyfriend in a past mission. They remember you were just playing, but to them, you're a walking apocalypse. You already know about the ghost on Mount Gordo, right? Yeah, Jolene Cranley Evans, the woman who floats above the cliffs from 11 p.m. to midnight. Get too close and she vanishes. Look at the rock she stands on. It says Jock, that's her husband. He pushed her off, later became governor. And then there's the Shillied mystery. Drawings of UFOs, alien eggs, a Yetback icon stretched into stone like a caveman's prophecy, all pointing to the same thing. There's something else here, something waiting. And yes, if you 100% the game, come back at 3 a.m. during a lightning storm and you can actually see the UFO. But what does it mean? Rockstar never said, but maybe it's a joke, it could also be a warning, or maybe the game just wants you to keep looking. Let's rewind time. In the San Andreas beta, CJ was supposed to get fat and grow facial hair, like real-time beard mechanics. It didn't make it to the release. There was gonna be a car towing system, a skateboard weapon, and even kids. Yep, Rockstar was experimenting with adding children NPCs. Why did they scrap it? Well, because they knew what players would do, and it would not be wholesome. Also, early GTA 5 builds had a working casino, 4 more heists, and a whole North Yankton expansion. Cut, gone, vaporware, but traces still exist in the code, like echoes from a version of the world that never quite made it. And finally, GTA Online. You think it's just chaos? Try this. There's a way to break the server time loop. Hackers have discovered how to trigger dynamic weather that wasn't supposed to exist. Snow in summer, firestorms, days that never end. And did you know there's a cursed lobby where everyone spawns with no faces? Yes, skin masks. The game's name is still GTA, but it starts to feel more like Silent Hill. And if you dig even deeper, some players swear there's a secret 6th star, a wanted level you can't reach by normal means, only by doing everything wrong, all at once on the wrong day. Is it real? No one knows, but the myth persists, because GTA is that kind of game where the line between player and pawn is just blurred. So yeah, you thought you knew GTA, but under the bullets and chaos, beneath the mission and memes, there's another world, one stitched together with invisible threads, broken systems, and dev jokes so obscure they feel like hallucinations. A city of ghosts, of stories that never get told, of people who never existed but somehow still do. Now that you know, you won't unsee it, but we're just scratching the surface. Rockstar actually had plans to release a DLC for GTA 5 single player. They were working on a really cool DLC where Trevor would become some kind of law enforcement agent. Trevor, of all people, upholding the law. That's just ironic, but also something that you can only expect from Rockstar. Unfortunately, this DLC was scrapped midway due to GTA Online's profitability, which made them turn that DLC into GTA Online content instead. And this was actually confirmed by one of the former Rockstar developers.
Because I was like, yo, what the fuck, guys? This shit's awesome. Let's keep going. Let's finish this shit. And they,
so at this point, you guys don't finish the DLC, right? Not
finish. That specific DLC. Okay. I don't think so. We went about probably halfway through it, and then I think we put a pause on it because GTA Online was just so people going crazy.
Personally, I wish Rockstar had continued. It would have been absolutely amazing and a little bit fun seeing Trevor as a cop. I'm sure you've used Life Invader in GTA 5, but did you know Rockstar actually created a real Life Invader website? Well, back in the day, you could actually access it to grab limited time in-game rewards like discounts and bonuses. Sadly, it no longer functions as a parody social network. Instead, it just redirects you to Rockstar's official website. I'm sure you've heard of the phrase smoking kills. Well, in GTA 5, it actually does. If your character smokes multiple cigarettes in GTA 5 while on low health, they will start coughing blood and eventually drop dead. It's darkly comedic, but also a strangely effective note to people about the dangers of chain smoking. In GTA 5, when you visit another protagonist's house while they are away and you try to sneak in or shoot at their house, they will actually call or text you to stop doing that. In fact, what's really interesting is that they even know if you're using a gun or launching rockets at their front door and react differently to each.
Stop firing rockets at my house!
There is a zombie wandering around Vinewood Boulevard. Not a real one, of course, but a guy in a full zombie cosplay. He's fully committed to his role with all the moaning and groaning you would expect from the undead. You can even have a conversation with him, and it gets absolutely ridiculous if you're playing as Trevor.
You remind me of my brother, Ryan. I mean, after he was dead. I'm sorry about that. No, don't be sorry. I'm glad he was dead. It was an accident. All right, that's all I have to say.
The zombie guy isn't the only cosplayer in the Vinewood area. You can find many more. One of the coolest ones is this guy absolutely rocking in full Master Chief armor, playing homage to the iconic protagonist from the popular Halo games. I wonder if he has some sci-fi guns on him. We all know about Trevor's parents and how he might have killed them, but did you know that he also had a brother? Well, his name was Ryan, and he's believed to have died before the events of GTA 5 in a tragic car accident.
I'm sorry about that. No, don't be sorry. I'm glad he was dead. It was an accident.
Or at least, that's what Trevor tells the zombie guy. He tells that guy how much he reminds him of Ryan and that it was really an accident, but he's also glad that Ryan's dead. This conversation sounds like Trevor had something to do with his brother's death and it wasn't a mere accident. Maybe he killed his brother as well. I mean, it wouldn't surprise anyone if it did, right? Calling emergency services in GTA 5 is a cool little feature that lets you ask for help from the police, paramedics, or fire trucks. But what happens when you're alone in the middle of the ocean and make that desperate call for help? Well, nothing. They don't refuse to help. In fact, they will assure you that help is on the way.
Thank you. Police officers are en route to your current location.
But that's not really the case. I actually waited for them for like 10 minutes, which is like 5 hours in GTA time, but no one ever showed up. I mean, there are police boats in the game, so it's a little weird why they don't come to your rescue. When you're in a gunfight with the cops, if you manage to shoot one of them in the leg, they will drop to the ground. Now if you just give it a second, you will see another cop coming to rescue the injured cop. They will drag the wounded officer away from the fight and try to get him behind cover. That's actually pretty cool, isn't it? I wonder what GTA 6 has in store for us. I'm sure you have been using the iFinder website for all kinds of stuff in GTA 5, taking money out of the bank, ordering stuff, but have you ever noticed that the mouse pointer when you're using the website isn't your standard arrow? It's actually a tiny middle finger. We've seen GTA characters do some completely random stuff and left idle for a while. Like for example when CJ starts singing,
Take your time and let me love you good. Boom, da 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 da.
but it gets much better in GTA 5. When you're on a beach and you leave your character idle for a while, they will actually switch the game to first person mode and start staring at, well, something or someone that caught their eye. Heck, they even zoom in to get the full view. If you need proof that Trevor actually loves Michael, just look at this tattoo that reads RIP Michael. They got one in his memory and to honor their friendship. You all know about trippy peyote plants, right? The ones that transform you into wildlife creatures? Well, they are not new to the GTA series. In fact, they actually have roots in GTA San Andreas. In one of the Truth missions, a character makes a passing remark about peyote plants and how they can mess you up big time. Looking at Truth's lifestyle, it wouldn't surprise me if it was onto these trippy magic plants. We've been seeing these shell guy memes everywhere, but do you know who the actual shell guy is? Well, your nightclub bouncer. I mean, he's probably the only guy who won't hit you back even if you beat the crap out of him. You can punch him, kick him, he simply walks right back to his spot and continues working like nothing's happened. That right there, my friends, is the shell guy.
Welcome. Enjoy yourself.
During the Diamond Casino heist, just before you enter the loading bay, there's a poster on the door advertising a fundraiser for Felipe. Who's Felipe, you ask? Well, he's the valet outside the casino, the same one who's probably been run over by players more times than anyone can count. And this fundraiser is basically to cover his medical expenses. During one of the downtown cab company missions, you have to drop off a passenger at the docks. If you look closely, you will spot two cars parked there with license plates reading Nico B and Roman B. Is a clear nod to our favorite Eastern European cousins, Nico and Roman Bellic. When Trevor asked Michael about his first robbery, Michael casually mentioned that it was in Carcer City. And if you didn't already know, that's the same city featured in Rockstar's Manhunt game. Now according to Michael, this happened all the way back in 1988, which funnily enough is the same year Franklin was born. So while Michael was out there robbing stores and pulling off heists, Franklin was just entering the world. It's crazy to think how their lives would later collide despite such wildly different beginnings. Do you remember Madame Nassar from Red Dead Redemption 2? The strange woman who claimed she could predict the future? Well, she's technically in GTA 5 too. And I'm not just talking about her robot in the arcade. You can actually call her by dialing her number and she will answer you. She picks up in her usual strange cryptic way, asking if you would like to know your future. And considering RDR 2 takes place decades before GTA 5, shouldn't she be dead by this point? Well, unless one of her descendants has taken her place. It wouldn't be the first time that's happened in GTA 5. Do any of y'all remember the mechanic guy from GTA Online? Well, back in the day, players could hire this dude to deliver their car wherever they were at, but he wasn't exactly reliable. Sometimes he would show up and just hit you with your own car, and other times he would run off with it or deliver it in a super rough condition. On top of it, if you even slightly provoked him, this guy would lose it and attack you. No one knows if it was just a glitch or Rockstar trying to troll us, but after tons of complaints, they removed him. Honestly, I kind of miss the guy, because he really cracked me up sometimes. When you're in the Diamond Casino, try not to take too many pictures or you will just end up getting kicked out, because apparently the security there isn't a fan of paparazzi. If you take more than 5 photos while inside, the guards won't just give you a warning, they will physically throw you out like some junkie. It's actually pretty hilarious, but also kind of annoying. Now I'm not sure if you know about this one, but when you're in the middle of robbing a store and the cashier is taking their sweet time pulling out the cash, you can yell into your mic to make them speed up. It will probably make you look stupid in real life, but it actually works. You can even see your character move their lips when you speak into the mic. You've probably seen the big old fruit styles scattered around Los Santos with their giant oversized orange ball on top. If you decide to try and shoot or punch the big orange by climbing up there, it actually detaches and rolls away. The ball is actually pretty heavy and it can easily crush someone standing in its path. You can even push it down the hill and watch it roll down the mountain. You might have noticed this strange little teddy bear attached to Trevor's car and wonder what it's doing there. Well, for those who don't know, that's Mr. Raspberry Jam, Floyd's teddy bear. Trevor had a pretty strange relationship with this bear, which he used to love in some very questionable ways.
Later, you filthy bear, you.
This is how Teddy used to look before it brought this lonely man some joy, and this is how it looks now. Trevor took out his left eye, and you can see some weird white stains on his body, which suggests Trevor might have done some horrible things to this poor guy. And after Floyd's death, Trevor mounted Mr. Raspberry on front of his Canis body as some sort of bizarre tribute to the weird connection they shared. Speaking of UFOs, there's actually one more, which is a decorative piece which you can find over the Bishop's What the Fuck Museum. It looks pretty normal from afar, but when you get close to the shop, you can actually hear this weird alien noise coming from the UFO. Something fishy is definitely going on inside of that museum, which is actually a parody of the real-life Ripley's Believe It or Not museum. Now I'm sure you remember Michael's iconic line, "You forget 1,000 things every day, make sure this is one of them."
You forget 1,000 things every day. How about you make sure this is one of them?
Now this line actually comes from a Solomon Richards movie called Arthur Penny's Sanitarium. The original quote was slightly different though. "We forget 1,000 things every day, can't we just make this one of them?"
Forget 1,000 things every day. Can't we just make this one of them?
Arthur Penny's Sanatorium.
Rockstar gave it a little tweak, and now it's one of the most memorable lines in the game. Michael's hatred for his wife's yoga instructor in GTA 5 is pretty funny, but here's something even funnier. Michael's motion capture and voice actor Ned Luke is actually married to a yoga instructor in real life. His wife Amy Sachs teaches yoga, which makes this whole thing feel like either a wild coincidence or Rockstar secretly knowing way too much about everyone. I'm sure you remember the scene where Johnny Klebitz gets stomped on by angry Trevor after he warns Trevor to stay away from his girlfriend. Everyone thought Johnny Klebitz had died right there and then, especially since you can see Trevor scraping Johnny's brain matter off his shoe afterward. But if you look closely during the scene, you can actually see Johnny blinking his eyes. To prove that he was still alive, if you shoot him after the whole stomping, you still get the death feedback you usually see when you kill someone in the game. Either way, whether you shoot him or not, Johnny was definitely not walking away from that. You can hear about his death in the newspaper. However, most people believe this was just a bug in the game, so whether it's true or not, it's up to you to decide. I don't know if it's discrimination or what, but for some reason, Trevor is the only protagonist who can't set foot in the Los Santos International Airport without getting a wanted level. Unlike Michael and Franklin, who can stroll in like normal people and even buy a hangar, Trevor doesn't have that privilege. Maybe it's his reputation, or maybe the airport staff just can't handle his energy. Well, at least he gets his own hangar up in Blaine County, so there's that. The stock market in GTA 5 works a lot like real life. It reacts to what's happening around it. When you mess with a company, their stock can crash. Sometimes it recovers, but other times it's just game over for them. A perfect example would be Life Invader. After blowing up Jay Norris during the mission, their stock takes a sudden nosedive and never bounces back. At least I don't remember. It's a cool detail that makes your actions feel like they actually leave a mark on the world. Or well, you can play some lady luck there. Michael's therapist is the worst, and not just because of his annoying advice. The guy is a straight up ripoff. You know how much he charges for one solo session with Michael? Around $1,000. And if Michael brings his family along, it's a whopping 4 to 5 grand per session. I honestly don't know how much it costs for therapy in Los Santos, but a guy like that charging 5 grand a session, I am just glad we had the option to get rid of him. Laszlo, the iconic radio DJ, has been part of nearly every GTA game since GTA 3, popping up in both the 3D and HD universes.
Alright, you're listening to Laszlo 2.0. You know, it's called integrity, because it's, you know, it's sort of about me, you know? Like how I'm gonna someday be a millionaire in blue jeans and, you know, with a guitar kind of slung over my back.
Even though Rockstar says these universes are separate, Laszlo somehow manages to exist in all of them, like some weird GTA multiverse contestant. In GTA 5, he's more than just a voice on the radio. You actually get to meet him in person as a washed up, desperate for fame kind of guy. It's awkward and hilarious, exactly what you would expect from Laszlo.
I'm just a dumb A-list celebrity trying to entertain America, okay?
Your phone in GTA 5 almost had a built-in music player. Rockstar planned for it, but for some reason they decided to scrap it before the game launched. It's a shame though. It could have been cool to blast your favorite tracks while texting Lester or avoiding a 5-star wanted level, but I guess it's for the better. Here's a cool detail you probably never noticed. Expensive cars in GTA 5 aren't just for flexing in front of your poor friends. They actually come with better soundproofing. If you're driving an old car in the rain, you will hear the drops hitting the roof. But when you hop into a more fancy car, the sound practically disappears. And yeah, rolling down the windows does bring the sound back. Rockstar really thought of everything, haven't they? But it doesn't mean that old vehicles are good for nothing. In fact, they can do something that modern vehicles can't: spying. I don't know if I'm 100% correct, but apparently when you're in a remote area driving an old truck or something, you can actually pick up these random radio signals, which are often just people talking to each other about some shady stuff, like cooking up drugs or other shady business. A little interesting.
So what if I tried to burn down my parents' house? They deserved it. They wouldn't get me the Exorbio I wanted.
We've seen all sorts of weird stuff in GTA 5. Aliens, zombies, and even naked Trevor. But have you ever seen mutant cockroaches? Yeah, there are a few spots in the game where you can find these huge, abnormally large cockroaches crawling around. I don't know if it's a glitch or some crazy experiment gone wrong in the infamous perfume factory, but these look pretty creepy. Okay, this might be a weird glitch, but it's totally super funny. Every so often, you will hear a male cop, but with a female voice. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's pretty hilarious. Take a look at this. That really cracked me up for some reason.
You are a zilch!
Here's another small detail that I bet you didn't notice before. So when you're in a city area surrounded by buildings and lights, and you look up into the sky at night, you will hardly notice stars. When you go out to a remote place or wilderness, you can see the stars more clearly at nighttime. It's a subtle touch that shows just how much Rockstar thinks about the little things in the game. The thermal goggles in GTA games actually work. I first found that out in GTA San Andreas, but they also work in GTA 5. Now if you use them and take out an enemy, you will notice their body changes color. They will go from bright orange to blue as their body temperature drops and their heat leaves their body. That's actually pretty cool. Here's another small detail that you might have missed, because honestly, who really notices what toothpaste brand the protagonists are using? Well, apparently some eagle-eyed fans do. There are toothpastes with CJ written on it, and they've appeared in previous GTA games as well. Some fans believe this is a reference to Carl Johnson from GTA San Andreas, but it might just be a nod to a Rockstar employee who worked on the game's props named Campbell John Dick, who was a senior interior designer for Rockstar. Some NPCs in GTA 5 are stranger than others, like this old guy here who lives all by himself and he's thought to be Franklin's father, because his last name happens to also be Clinton. Well, father or not, this guy seems to have served in the Vietnam War, and I think he suffers from the trauma of the war events. You can talk to him and he will tell you all about it. It's an interesting, albeit heavy conversation if you ever take the time to chat with him.
War is beauty. War is truth. War made me this way, so fuck all of you.
CJ might not be Franklin's father, but there's a cool connection between the two. Franklin's voice actor, Sean Fonteno, is actually cousins with CJ's voice actor, Chung Melee. When you're in a snowy area, you can pick up snowballs by pressing the left D-pad button on consoles or G on PC. They seem like harmless fun, but did you know snowballs in GTA 5 are surprisingly deadly? Well, they're considered throwable weapons, and while they don't really explode like nades, they can still kill NPCs. Throw around 10 snowballs at an NPC and you will actually take them out, or you can knock them down if you aim for their head. If you fall into the ocean from a high enough height in GTA 5, your character will actually die on impact. It's a surprisingly realistic touch, since falling from a great height into water can be as deadly as hitting concrete in real life. But there is a way to cheat death here. If you open a parachute while falling and then cut it loose before hitting the water, you will survive the fall no matter how high you were. I'm not sure if you're ever gonna need that, but you never know. During one of the Strangers and Freaks missions, Trevor is asked to get a golden tooth as a souvenir, and for that he's asked to get it from a guy named Willie. He falls all the way to a nightclub where he talks to the Love Fist band.
Hey man, no more autographs.
Hey, that's okay. I want something more personal.
Piss off, you twat, before I kick your ass.
Which is actually the same band from GTA Vice City, and this Willie guy is also a returning character from the same band we first saw in Vice City. Sadly, Trevor has to beat the guy and break his golden tooth, and after he gets the golden tooth, Trevor even apologizes to the Love Fist fans.
Sorry, Love Fist fans.
There are some places in GTA 5 where you can actually find these telescopes, which are supposed to help you look further into the distances. However, that's not actually the case. In fact, these telescopes are actually pretty useless compared to your phone's camera. If you zoom in with your phone, you can see far clearer and more precisely than through the telescope lenses. So I honestly don't know why they exist in the game, but then we're talking about them, aren't we? Besides the zombie guy and the one wearing Master Chief's costume, you can find plenty of other street performers or buskers in GTA 5. Some might be acting, others playing some instruments, and they all seem very peaceful. That's until you start taking their pictures without tipping them. In that case, they will get angry and even start attacking you. So maybe tip them next time you want to take a picture. For a while, Franklin actually lives at his aunt Denise's house, which has a little garden outside. If you take a closer look at the garden, you will spot two oddly familiar looking mushrooms, because these aren't just any mushrooms. They're a subtle reference to the iconic Super Mario Brothers. The red and green mushrooms resemble Mario and Luigi, with the red one being slightly shorter, just like the brothers' signature height difference. It's a neat little Easter egg that's easy to miss. There is a secret crawling animation that you might not have seen before. It actually plays when your character gets stuck under a truck, and your character will actually crawl out from beneath in a realistic way. We don't usually see this animation play anytime else, not even when the player is stuck under the car. In that case, it simply gets teleported to one of the sides, but we do see a similar one when you try to exit a flipped car. So most cars in GTA 5 just stop working as soon as you drive them into the water, but some cars can actually drive underwater as long as their exhaust stays above the water itself. It works best with trucks that have a high mounted exhaust. Now if your car has a low exhaust, it will stop working instantly, but if you're lucky enough to have the exhaust on the top, you can drive around underwater. It's a pretty cool feature to mess around with, but don't bother installing a snorkel because I have and it doesn't work. Okay, so we've seen cars driving underwater, but did you know that you can actually drive boats on land too? Well, not exactly, but as long as there is a little stream or water source around, you can ride a boat like some kind of off-road vehicle. It's honestly kind of hilarious and feels like something that should be illegal, but it's a fun glitch to mess around with. You might already know about this one, but when you dial this strange number in GTA 5, it connects you to a mysterious contact named Black Cell Phones. But instead of a normal call, it triggers a bizarre sequence where your phone turns black and causes an explosion right above your character's head. Why does this happen? Well, nobody knows for sure, but fans have speculated that it's somehow connected to the Mount Chiliad mystery. Amanda de Santa is full of surprises, not the good kind. I mean, we all know she cheats on Michael with other people, but it's not limited to people she meets in real life. She even has an active profile on Hush Smush, the game's dating website, and whilst her face isn't visible, her bio is a dead giveaway. Husband ignoring and sitting by the pool all day, likes yoga, acts like someone 20 years younger, and yeah, that's definitely her, right?
I'm paying that turd $150 an hour to fuck my wife in my own bed?
Speaking of social profiles, our guy Nico from GTA 4 also has one on Life Invader, GTA's very own version of Facebook. The profile reveals he's alive and working as a cab driver, or possibly even owns a cab company and brokers. After leaving the world of crime, Nico seems to have settled into a quieter life. Could we possibly see Nico in GTA 6 as a cab driver? Yes, Sam.
You remember me?
While most of us couldn't care less about traffic lights in GTA, the NPCs actually take them seriously, even when on foot. If they're halfway across the zebra crossing and the light turns green, they will start running to get to the other side quickly and avoid getting run over. During one of the prison contract missions, players come across a movie set that feels like a behind the camera scene from the Terminator. Look at this guy, it looks exactly like the guy from the actual movie. You can also find similar bikes on the movie set, and the guy even has a sawdust shotgun that he uses to kill you. But what's even more interesting is that he also has an insane amount of health, and even comes back to life after getting shot in the head. Rockstar apparently had plans to include pool as a playable activity in GTA 5. There are pool tables scattered around the game world, and the balls are even interactive. You can push them around or shoot them out of the table. But for some reason, they never fully implemented the feature, and it really is a shame because playing pool with your friends would have been a lot of fun. Do you know what's the fastest way to stop your car when you're riding at high speeds without getting it totaled, that is? Well, here's a neat trick. While driving at high speeds, simply open the character selection menu, select any character, and then back out of the selection without switching. This instantly brings your car to a complete stop no matter how fast you're going, even if it's 500 miles an hour. It's like an emergency brake that could totally come in handy at times. GTA 3. Did you know in the original version of the game, Claude can't swim? Okay, well, you definitely knew that, but here's what you didn't know. The devs didn't just leave water as a death trap for realists. They used it as a border, a code wall. Swimming meant you could break the game. Water wasn't water, it was a boundary. burglary. A silent bouncer telling you, nah, you don't belong out there. And speaking of voids, in San Andreas, there's an interior universe, a hidden dimension that exists completely off the map. You access it by glitching into certain interiors, like Mad Dog's mansion or a burglary house. What you find? Floating rooms, gravity glitches, a skybox made of madness. It's called the Blue Hell, and it's like the devil's left a tiny matrix behind, not for you to see, but just in case you did. Here's a fun one. In Vice City, one building literally has Easter egg written inside it, and I don't mean metaphorically. You fly a shopper through a specific window, and boom, you find a chocolate egg sitting on a pedestal. It says Happy Easter. No joke, no reward, no mission, just vibes. Rockstar's basically trolling you, and it gets better. In GTA 4, if you head to Happiness Island, Liberty's own Statue of Liberty clone, you can actually go inside it, climb up the base, glitch through the doors, and there it is, a giant beating heart suspended by chains. No explanation, no lore drop, just a fleshy metaphor pumping away beneath a Statue of Freedom. It's like Rockstar was saying, the city is alive and it's not okay. You ever stop and actually listen to these characters? Like, really listen? Trevor, for example, has 1,200 lines of completely optional dialogue. Half of it triggers only if you idle, wander, or switch to him at the wrong time.
You wouldn't believe this, Ron. One of these assholes is having a seizure or something.
That's me! That's me! Don't shoot!
Sometimes he's threatening squirrels, sometimes he's quoting poetry, sometimes he's crying, and here's the kicker. The more you kill with him, the darker his idle lines get, and it's like the game knows what kind of player you are, and it reflects that right back at you. GTA isn't just watching, it's judging. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Trevor actually wears a calculator watch, which looks just like the one that Walter White wears in the Breaking Bad series.
Goddamn right.
I bet you didn't know this, but when your character gets drenched in GTA 5, their clothes take exactly 1 minute and 10 seconds to fully dry, no matter the outfit. Well, now you know. Okay, this might be one of the weirdest things you can do in GTA 5, but you can actually set Chop's poop on fire using a jerry can. Yes, it actually burns and disappears into ashes. Honestly, why would Rockstar even program this? It's bizarrely unnecessary, yet hilarious. I'm sure you know you can take selfies in GTA 5 using your phone, but did you know you can also take selfies during cutscenes? Well, if you time it just right, your character will pull out their phone and snap a selfie while the cutscene is happening. You can take some weird looking photos with this. If you've just had a conversation with a character and you try calling them back, they will remember that you've just talked, and instead of the usual friendly banter, they will tell you to just hang up and stop bothering them.
Are you serious? We just hung out. You gotta get a life.
Okay, well, then back to playing with myself.
Hey, Frank, let's do something.
Hey, can you call me another time? We was just speaking.
No worries, man. I'll see you soon. Hey, homie, wanna hang out, man?
Hey, we was just talking, homie. You turn into one of them anterograde amnesiac niggas?
Okay, homie. Some other time.
Some NPCs in GTA 5 actually wear glasses, and you know what's cool? When you punch or kick them, their glasses can actually come off. And no, they're too scared to pick them up afterwards, and they just start running for their lives as soon as they stand back up. Okay. This one is pretty gross, but when you've just killed some NPCs, you can actually perform a burnout over their dead body and it will make the blood spray away from the spinning tires, creating this gruesomely detailed splatter effect. Here's a cheeky little fact for you. There are exactly 69 story missions in GTA 5. Yeah, Rockstar knew exactly what they were doing when they picked that number. We all know Lester is a huge tech geek, but he's also a superhero fan. Look around his house and you will spot a small shelf filled with superhero action figures. A green guy is supposed to be Master Chief, right? While snooping around Lester's place, you will also find a book titled Surveillance, and if you zoom in on it, you will see that it has CJ's picture on its front page. This one's both sad and hilarious. If you visit the memorial at the military base, it's supposed to honor fallen soldiers by listing their names, but if you zoom in, every single name is John Doe. Looks like Rockstar decided to save time with a single name, or John really gave his all for the country, apparently. You can actually park your car with the wheels still turned. While inside the car, hold down the handbrake and throttle together, and then turn the wheels slightly in the opposite direction of where you want them to stay. Now get out of the car without letting go of those buttons, and the wheels will snap the opposite direction you were turning and stay that way until you hop back in. I don't know what you're gonna do with that, but yeah. There's an NPC in GTA 5 you've probably never seen before, Jesco White, a guy who spends all his time tap dancing. You will find him at the foreclosed North Alamo Pier of North Calafia Way. He is dancing to the beat in front of a house with a portable radio playing in the background, and he doesn't stop as long as the music is going. But he isn't just a dancer. You can also listen to him on the radio by tuning into the Rebel radio station. You might have heard of the Redwood Light Tracks, the dusty off-road circuit near Sandy Shores, but some fans suspect it's more than just a motocross playground. It's actually a clandestine testing site for alien tech. Why? Well, late at night, you can sometimes spot strange lights flickering above the track even if there's no event happening. Some say the Redwood in the Redwood Lights track is a sly nod to UFO crash sites concealed within the hills. Are we witnessing government experiments, or is Rockstar just messing with us again? Who knows? But if you see a faint green glow overhead, you might want to hit the gas and get out of there. Tucked away in the northern region of Procopio Beach, there's a rumor about a massive bear-like creature that roams between cabins at night. Locals call it the Beast. Some swear they've heard low growling noises, while others claim they've glimpsed enormous paw prints on the shoreline. The weird part? A handful of battered kayaks wash ashore from time to time as if something has launched itself onto them from below. Is it an overgrown grizzly mutated by toxic waste from humane labs, or just another cryptid fairy tale? So far, no one's proven it. Maybe it's only a matter of time before we see a viral Snapmatic post featuring a giant furry silhouette. When we talk about Ludendorff, North Yankton, we usually focus on that ill-fated prologue heist, but rumor has it there is a biker gang holed up in the snow, quietly operating in the outskirts of town. Supposedly, if you manage to glitch your way back into North Yankton in GTA Online, you might stumble across lost bikes hidden in garages, along with scrawled graffiti referencing a group called the Frozen Reapers. Could they be affiliated with the Lost MC, or is this a brand new set of outlaws? Well, one thing is for sure, if you see tire tracks in the snow leading to nowhere, you might be crossing into Reaper territory. Yes, that Omega the tinfoil hat wearing alien enthusiast from GTA 5's Strangers and Freaks mission, some fans claim he's actually Jimmy Hopkins from the Rockstar classic Bully, all grown up and on a brand new mission to discover extraterrestrial life. The logic? Well, Omega references having been to a rough boarding school where he dominated the lunchroom, and he's suspiciously good at picking fights if you provoke him. Maybe after humiliating the entire staff at Boulevard Academy, Jimmy get bored, changed his name, and dove headfirst into alien conspiracy. It's out there, but hey, Rockstar loves reusing characters, right? If you cruise around downtown Los Santos, look closely at some of the security cameras perched on street corners. Dedicated data miners claim they're identical to the cameras featured in Manhunt, another Rockstar title known for twisted plots and sadistic directors filming criminals. Are these cameras broadcasting real-time chaos for some underground reality show? The game files label them MH_cam. Is that a coincidence, or is Rockstar slyly implying some Manhunt bigwig is watching GTA's criminals from the shadows? Well, next time you cause a 5-star rampage, think about who's watching and maybe even enjoying the show. We've all seen meteorite candy bars and vending machines and storefronts, but one unhinged fan theory says the candy's secret ingredient is human remains. The twisted speculation goes like this: the cannibal cult in Blaine County, the altruists, harvest undesirables, then funnel the byproduct to a candy factory in exchange for FIB hush money. The candy bars out of this world taste allegedly hints at the horrifying truth. Next time you munch on a meteorite for health, just remember you might be fueling your HP with something you really don't want to think about. Mount Chiliad is ground zero for GTA conspiracies. Jetpacks, UFO murals, you name it. But there's a new twist. Some players think that the radio tower near the base isn't just for broadcasting, it's actually a portal. According to this theory, if you stand at the tower during a lightning storm at exactly 3:33 AM in-game time, your screen flashes, you hear static, and you're teleported to the dark version of Los Santos. Folks swear they've encountered shadowy NPCs in this alternative dimension. Is it just a glitch, or the biggest, baddest Easter egg Rockstar have ever planted? Let me know in the comments. Nothing screams power in Los Santos like the Maze Bank Tower, but some fans believe there's a sealed off office suite near the top that you can't normally access. The story goes that this suite or suite belongs to a retired Vinewood producer who supposedly orchestrated black market film deals for the Epsilon program. Data miners claim there's an interior file named Maze Hush Ent. The door is locked, but if you manage to no-clip in, you will see props referencing Epsilon cult meetings and piles of stolen artwork. Could the Maze Bank Tower be more than just a finance hub? It might be the city's most luxurious crime den. Ever roam Alamo Sea at twilight and spot an empty ferry gliding across the water with no lights on? Some players claim they've heard an eerie foghorn and seen a ghostly vessel drifting near the shore, then vanish without a trace. Legend has it that a local fisherman died mid-voyage and now his boat haunts the lake. Others argue it's a left-behind dev asset from an abandoned mission. Either way, if you're out there on a speedboat at night and see a silhouette that shouldn't be there, just remember, ghost ferries don't need headlights and they definitely don't need passengers. The Winewood Hills are full of scenic trails, but some hikers swear they've stumbled across a campsite where hooded figures meet under the starlight. Random chanting noises, circle formations, and weird symbols scrawled on boulders, like an offshoot of the Epsilon program gone rogue. A few cinematic images floating around show flickering torches in the dead of night, but trying to get close causes the figures to scatter or disappear. Could it be an underground cult worshipping Croft, or is it just a group of bored Winewood's hipsters pulling a spooky prank? Either way, it's enough to make you keep your hikes to daylight hours. Everyone remembers the prologue of GTA 5, Michael, Trevor, and Brad robbing that supposedly small-time cash depot in Ludendorff, but here's the twist. According to one theory, that heist was staged from the start by the FIB to catch Trevor and Brad. Notice how an entire fleet of squad cars materializes instantly in a sleepy Midwest town. What's even stranger is the frozen river near the road, where players can glimpse a frozen alien beneath the ice if they look closely. Could this be an FIB ruse, some phony extraterrestrial evidence to keep curious eyes far away? Ludendorff is basically in the middle of nowhere, so planting rumors of an alien corpse might be the perfect scare tactic to deter explorers. Trevor even quips about how there can't be that many cops in such a tiny place. Yet there they all are, locked and loaded, and in the suspicious abundance of ammo shops and references to possible World War I German ties in the town's history, and you've got yourself one complicated covert op. Maybe the FIB found a perfect remote spot to bury their top secret experiments. Los Santos is already notorious for being a hub of all things criminal, so it's only fitting that the University of Los Santos, ULS, might be harboring a dark legacy. Rumor has it that the school once welcomed Nazi scientists fleeing post-World War II prosecution, scientists who specialized in population control research. Sounds like a conspiracy lover's goldmine, right? Well, a G4 talk show dropped a bombshell that after the war, they ended up at the University of San Andreas, Los Santos. That single line set off an entire wave of speculation. Maybe these exiled researchers influenced the city's sky-high crime rates. The alumni list is no less sketchy, featuring names like Litik Crest, Miguel Madrazo, and even a known Vagus gang member. Who knows what kind of extracurriculars these students got up to under the watchful eye of the ULS faculty. Beneath the glitz of Los Santos lies a sprawling subway network, and lurking in its darkest depths might be the legendary Ratman. First whispered about in the GTA 4 days, Ratman was described as half man, half rodent, scrattling around the dimly lit tracks. But here's the creepy part. Some leaked Humane Labs documents mention injecting pesticide directly into human test subjects. Could these horrifying experiments have birthed a rodent-human hybrid? While players report hearing squeaks echoing off the subway walls, leading shadows that are definitely not normal NPC movement, and even maniacal laughter in particularly abandoned sections. Weasel News once claimed the major plan to flood parts of the tunnel system to combat a rodent infestation. Coincidence or a citywide cover-up to flush out Ratman once and for all? While we're talking shadowy operations, some fans believe there's an enigmatic Latin American cartel known as Clue and Bell pulling strings behind the scenes, especially for El Rubio. You might recall El Rubio's complaint about being barred from traveling to Germany thanks to global poll investigations.
I will come see you in Berlin, only I can't really travel right now, huh? Global poll sucks ass. I swear, man, you have no idea.
With travel bans in place, how does he keep his empire afloat? Easy. He leans on Clue and Bell as his proxy. They bankroll his private army, fund his lavish parties, and ensure his business runs smoothly, keeping him ready to strike back at the Madrazo family or anyone else after that Cayo Perico fiasco. If El Rubio can't handle things face to face, Clue and Bell takes up the slack, making sure the Kingpin's presence is still still felt across the underworld. Ever wonder why in GTA you can take someone out on a lonely back road and still get a 1-star in an instant, even though there are no witnesses for miles? Well, let's enter the insurance company conspiracy. According to this theory, the second a victim flatlines, a covert biometric implant pings local law enforcement. The payoff? Insurance firms who want criminals caught before they have to pay out a policy. This might also explain those magical invoices you receive after destroying a stranger's car. Your so-called insurance watchers are tracking every rampage you go on. Think of it as a Big Brother monitoring system, but with corporate profit at the heart of it all. Ask any seasoned GTA player about weird creatures, and they will probably mention Bigfoot. Sightings date back to the early San Andreas days, with grainy photos of a large, hairy figure dashing among the pines. Rockstar once told us, point blank, there is no Bigfoot, but that denial only made the legend grow stronger. From the Redwood Lights track to the remotest corners of Mount Chiliad, players still claim to catch glimpses of an enormous silhouette moving in the moonlight. Some are obviously modded hoaxes, but the rumor refuses to die. Whether it's an official in-game Easter egg or we as fans wanting the Bigfoot to be real, the legend lives on. If Bigfoot isn't enough to scare you, consider the ghostly apparitions said to roam the graveyards of San Andreas. Some claim they've heard voices whispering in the wind, footsteps crunching on gravel when no one's around, even shapes that flicker in and out of existence under street lamps. The creepiest accounts tell us of a strange woman who rambles about living in a palace and hating herself, only to vanish into thin air when the weather changes. Some believe these spirits might be all the NPCs players that have offed over the years, returning to haunt the world. If you happen to take a Snapmatic selfie in one of these cemeteries at night, be sure to check the background for unexpected visitors. While exploring Winewood Hills, keep an eye out for a peculiar tagged wall reading 1807 with an arrow pointing to a nearby house. This cryptic marking allegedly references the real-life Charles Manson murders. 07 is the number of killings attributed to Manson, and the arrow leads you to a abandoned canyon home suspiciously similar to the infamous Benedict Canyon crime scene. On certain nights, that in-game house hosts a Rashu's party. If you so much as bump any of these partiers, they collapse stone cold in a nod to the gruesome fate of Manson's real-life victims. The parallels are morbidly uncanny proof that Rockstar has a dark sense of humor, or maybe something deeper. The FIB is never short on conspiracies. Their name keeps popping up around alleged alien sightings, covert labs, and clandestine cabins hidden in Blaine County. Listen closely and you will hear of a remote safe house guarded by undercover construction workers who attack on sight if you get too close. Could they be snooping on Humane Labs projects or protecting sensitive data connected to the rumored Ratman or an alien specimen? Considering the FIB's motto is basically keep it secret, keep it safe at any cost, it wouldn't be a shock if they're burying some of the strangest conspiracies in the franchise. Finally, we come to Merle Abraham, the twisted infinity killer of 1999 who butchered 8 joggers across San Andreas. He was allegedly imprisoned and died at age 57, but scrawlings found around the map hint that he might have faked his death. His burned out home in Sandy Shores is a major clue. Everything inside is scorched except for an oddly pristine pair of shoes, a possible calling card. This could be a sign Merle's still alive, quietly leaving cryptic messages about flames once roared and shorelines kissing the earth. Fans dig through every last detail, convinced that the Infinity Killer lurks in the shadows, waiting to strike victim number 9. But let's move on to some GTA 6 theories. Before the trailer actually landed, the teaser art announcing its long-awaited reveal already had fans theorizing. What mainly caught everyone's attention was 3 birds silhouetted against the purple-hued sunset. Of course, the color of the teaser also had thoughts racing about Vice City at the time, but the bird theory has some speculation if it was significant, hinting possibly at 3 protagonists like in GTA 5, or perhaps a song that might be featured. 3 little birdies told me. That's what we were talking about. Once the trailer dropped and introduced us to Lucia and a male character who's prominently featured, rumors that of course could be taken with a big pinch of salt began once again flying around, alleging that Lucia may have a child that will factor into the story. If we're set to play as 2 characters, Lucia and the male lead believed to be Jason, then perhaps there's still some significance in the number 3. What if it's their kid? Yes, we may be reading into this far too much, but isn't that the fun of it all? What if GTA 6 has some ties to Nico Bellic. Well, Lucia took center stage in the trailer with the male protagonist. We're still waiting to be officially referred to by Rockstar. Now believed to be called Jason thanks to leaks, he can be seen throughout the footage, and just like everything and everyone else, fans have been honing in to see what can be learned about him. In fact, Games Radar Plus's very own Leon Hurley noted that Jason does appear to share some resemblance to Nico Bellic from GTA 4. Honestly, I can see it, and it would certainly be a neat connection, since so much remains a mystery about the character, and nothing is off the table after all. During the time of GTA San Andreas, people were coming up with all sorts of crazy theories and myths, and it was really hard back then to figure out if any of them were actually legit. One of these wild theories was related to the killer cowboy, a random pedestrian who would often spawn in the countryside wearing a cowboy hat and a checkered shirt. He would carry weapons from knife to even rifle and would attack the player for no reason. Many players started reporting such encounters that it became a full-blown legend. Even the GTA Wiki lists it as a proven myth. In GTA San Andreas, you can encounter these mysterious men wearing black suits armed with heavy M4 rifles. They often appear during Mike Torino's missions, and fans believe these are the men in black, you know, inspired by the movies, and they're responsible for keeping an eye on any alien activity in the country. They seem to be working for the in-game CIA, and during the Stowaway mission, you can even hear them discussing aliens and stuff, which kinda adds weight to the whole theory. The Men in Black also makes an appearance in GTA 5. Found near the satellite dishes in the Grand Sonora Desert, they also have this team of scientists with them, which suggests they are onto something fishy, and if you try to get close to them, they will get hostile and even start attacking you. What do you think they're trying to protect here? Mount Chiliad is the place for crazy GTA legends, and this one is no different. Some players claim to have seen an angel near the mountain summit in GTA San Andreas. They describe it as this glowing, cloud-like figure that appears right at the peak of the mountain. Sure, it could just be a funky-looking cloud, but it's strange to see one this close to the player. This angel could be tied in with the Angel on Rock, which is a strange rock formation that looks like an angel that you can find in Baco Beyond, but no one really knows what this thing is. What do you guys think it is? In GTA San Andreas, there is a man named Psycho in the game file. Fans believe it's some dude who was meant to be a street criminal attacking and robbing random people. While there's no solid proof he has ever made it into the final game, some players swear they've run into him. They say he shows up out of nowhere, and as soon as he spots you, he attacks you with a knife or even a gun. Kinda like Killer Cowboy, but more hideous. Let me know if any of you have seen this guy down in the comments. During the prologue heist in GTA 5, everything goes sideways when a ton of police show up. But how do they know about the heist? Fans have been debating this for years, and one popular theory suggests that one of the hostages triggered the silent alarm. If you look closely at the cutscene, you will see the hostage sneaking a hand under the table right before things go bad. It's super easy to miss, but it's there when you look closely. GTA 6 is yet to arrive, but the theories are already running rampant. Some fans believe that Lester Crest might have packed his bags and moved to Vice City, and in GTA Online, after you buy his Darnell Gourmet Ferment Factory, Lester sends you a message saying he's retired to greener pastures. He mentions sipping a bottomless margarita while standing by the sea, and the attached photo shows him and Gorgina Sheng on a sunny beach. Fans think this sunny paradise could be none other than Leonidas Vice City. I mean, it could very well be another subtle hint from Rockstar. In GTA Vice City, some players have come across what they believe to be a super cop. This guy seems to teleport instantly to the player's position, busting them as they are trying to get away in a car or on a bike. Some content creators have managed to record the super cop in action, showing him pulling off this crazy move. But it's most likely just a glitch that could happen with any cop, although extremely rare. I mean, I tried to get some cop to do it, but never really succeeded. Cannibalism isn't new to GTA 5. This creepy old fellas called the Ultras cult, they seem to enjoy human meat. But what's interesting is that Trevor might actually be one of them, as in a cannibal. I know it sounds insane, but there are some subtle hints out there. There's this scene where Trevor offers Michael a bowl of creepy looking stew that Michael refuses to eat, pointing out there's something strange in it. Trevor says it's probably just an eyebrow, and then starts eating. After he's done with the stew, Trevor starts puking, which suggests it could actually be human meat. In GTA 5, there is a fortune-telling machine called Nassar Speaks, which is a cool little Easter egg referencing Madame Nassar from RDR2. But what you might have missed is a sequence of numbers it gives you during these interactions. It's basically a phone number that you can dial, and if you do, you will hear a woman pick up on the other end. Now, fans believe this mysterious voice could belong to one of Madame Nassar's descendants, who's keeping her legacy of fortune-telling alive. It's unlikely she could have lived for over 100 years after the events of RDR2. GTA 5 is packed with UFOs UFO and alien references. But here's one that's easy to overlook. On top of Bishop's WTF building, there's a weird UFO just sitting there. You might have spotted it before, but have you ever tried getting close? Well, if you do, you will start hearing this eerie alien humming sound. This has led fans to believe there's something strange going on inside the building. They think it's more than just a quirky decoration, and that Bishop's WTF is hiding some extraterrestrial secrets. The honest confrontation with Trevor in GT5 that led to his brutal death was really a wild twist to the story. Trevor literally crushed the guy's head under his foot, but a Reddit user claims that he was alive. There's even a video showing Johnny still blinking after Trevor stomps him, hinting that Rockstar might have left his fate up to us, because when you shoot him after that, the same kill effect that appears when the player kills someone appears. But don't think you can actually save the guy. He might be alive at the time, but canonically, he dies anyway. By the way, this is a really interesting one, but it was confirmed to be a glitch. Do you remember the time traveler guy from RDR2 who orders you to collect these mysterious rock carvings? Well, turns out he's not just a simple time traveler. There's a pretty fun theory that claims that he's not a human. Well, according to the Epsilon program, they believe everyone is related to everyone else, except for people with red hair. And if you have a birthmark, you may be a descendant from Croft, famous alien emperor of the 4th Paradigm. Francis matches the exact description, even as the same birthmark is shown in the example image, which suggests he could indeed be an alien or the descendant of one. This would also explain his apparent supernatural time travel abilities. When you're driving as Trevor in his own truck, sometimes you can hear these strange conversations between people on the radio that don't play on regular car radios.
This here's Tinkle Genie. Bust him a squirt out the window. Copy that. This is Porcupine Peak going south on the Sonora Freeway.
These can be secret conversations between military personnel or drug dealers, and this has led some fans to believe that Trevor is some sort of spy. But in reality, Trevor has this old CB radio from his days as a pilot in the army before getting discharged for, well, being Trevor. I have no idea how players find all these little details, but here's a fun one. If you check out Franklin's or Michael's house, you will notice a toothpaste with a logo that reads CJ's. This got fans wondering if CJ from GTA San Andreas started his own business after leaving the life of crime behind. After all, we saw his billboard in GTA 4, so it wouldn't be too far-fetched to imagine him becoming a legit businessman. But it turns out that CJ's toothpaste is actually a reference to GTA's senior artist CJ Dick, who worked on various GTA games over the years. This one's pretty interesting, and it could definitely be true. In Franklin's aunt Denise's house, some players have spotted two mushrooms that seem like a clear reference to the Mario brothers. One is tall and green, while the other is short and red, mimicking Luigi and Mario's height and iconic appearance. Fans believe these mushrooms aren't random, but intentionally placed as a subtle nod to the famous video game duo. In GTA 5, there is an updated life and radar profile of Nico that suggests he's still alive and working as a cab driver and broker. This tells us Nico's gone legit and is trying to lay low. This, plus the fact that Nico and Roman mentions Vice City as a city to move out, has made fans wonder if they might reappear in GTA 6 with their own cab company. What do you guys think? Could that be possible? Here's another GTA 6 related theory, which actually comes from a former Rockstar Games developer who explains why Rockstar remains silent. According to him, it's part of Rockstar's tactics. They intentionally drop just enough hints and teasers to keep fans speculating and generating buzz. Take GTA 6 Trailer 1, which implied another trailer was coming, and since then, it's literally everything that the community is talking about for months. This way, Rockstar just has to sit and watch and not even spend that much on marketing, because the community is simply doing it for them. There are certain houses in GTA 5 where if you shoot at them, blood splatters from the windows, which is pretty weird. Some players have speculated that these houses might be linked to ghost or demon activity, giving the game a spooky vibe. However, it's more likely that these are just random glitches. In the Cayo Perico heist cutscene, we're introduced to this female character named Kaylee, and many fans believe she's a reference to real-life celebrity Kylie Jenner. For starters, Kaylee's name is suspiciously close to Kylie, and during the scene, Madrazo also mentions how she has more followers than the Pope. Definitely a jab at Kylie's massive social media presence. Plus, she's always glued to her phone, not really paying attention to what's going on around her, which feels like a cheeky nod to the real-life influencer lifestyle. One of these conversations that we pick up is actually pretty interesting. It happens between two characters, and one of them is named Eddie Lowe, which, if you remember, was the psycho serial killer from GTA 4 who goes around hunting pedestrians and then dump their bodies around the city in duffel bags. Well, this sparked a theory among fans that Eddie might still be alive. crib, but the guy says that it's just a coincidence that he has the same name as the killer and that he's not the same guy. OG Locke, the aspiring rapper from GTA San Andreas, always dreamed of making it big, even if he wasn't exactly talented. Remember how he had CJ steal Mad Dog's album in a desperate bid to get his big break? Well, it looks like his dreams might actually come true sometime after San Andreas, because if you check out Franklin's crib, you will find OG Locke's own album alongside Mad Dog's. This suggests he did manage to launch his own album and became somewhat successful. Also, while we're in Franklin's home, we can find his book titled Red Dead, written by Jay Marston. At first, many players thought it might be referring to John Marston from Red Dead Redemption, but we do know it was his son Jack who loved books and stories and always wanted to be a writer himself, and it seems like he finally made his dream come true. Ryder's betrayal in GTA San Andreas always felt a little off. Unlike Big Smoke, who had been secretly working with the boss for a while, Ryder's switch felt abrupt and unexplained. Some fans believe this might have been because Ryder wasn't originally meant to betray CJ and the Grove Street families. They believe that Rockstar had initially planned for Ryder to stay loyal to CJ, but for some reason changed the storyline at the last minute. We know Michael was never in witness protection and that it was more of an off-the-book deal with the FIB agent Dave, but some fans believe there is a much deeper conspiracy involving the Epsilon program. After Michael completes their final mission, unknowing the truth, the news reveals that the cult was involved in a car theft ring and even money laundering. Lester seems to know the truth behind the deal. He says, "I checked the witness protection program thing. It doesn't look like any WITSEC program I am aware of. For starters, they don't usually put witnesses in multi-million-dollar mentions." He even links the whole money laundering with the FIB, mentioning how a six-figure sum is being transferred into Dave's account every month from Michael, a guy who might be living in a mansion but with no explanation of where his income is coming from. Not day trading, of course. So yeah, this theory actually makes a lot of sense. We've talked about the theory that says GTA could actually be a movie, but here's an even crazier one that suggests GTA set in hell. The theory goes that the player is being forced to relive their first actions over and over again, experiencing the punishment without an escape. Even Rockstar says so, not in so many words, but there's a billboard in Vice City with a sign that reads, "Welcome to Hell." During Michael's therapy sessions with Dr. Friedlander, Michael kind of blames the player for his reckless actions. He says that sometimes it feels like he's being controlled by someone else, implying that his reckless behavior isn't really his own choice. We, the players, are making him do all these crazy things. In Los Santos Ocean, you can find a dead body of a woman with her feet tied to cinder blocks. It seems to be a similar Easter egg to Concrete Shoes murder like we saw in GTA Vice City. It's a classic mafia style hit, and the body appears to have been underwater for a long time. However, one curious Reddit user used a mod to bring the body to land and discovered something really creepy. The woman is actually alive. What's really funny though is that when he shoots the body, the NPC simply starts walking back to the water. Remember the mission where Franklin saves a guy hanging from a tree with his parachute stuck in it? It was this dog that actually led Franklin to him. It's kind of strange because Franklin could actually understand the dog for some reason, and after the rescue, the dog just disappears. But then, in the mission Uncalculated Risk, the dog shows up again to try to save Tom before he jumps off the dam. Unfortunately, Tom doesn't make it, but this has led fans to believe that this dog was actually Tom's guardian angel. But what's really funny is that the dog says he's just bound to help Franklin, or else he doesn't give a shit. There's another theory tied to who this dog might actually be. Some fans believe this dog is one and the same that's featured in a family photo on the acceptthechaos.com website. Now on that site, there's a photo of a deadly accident involving a family with parents and kids, and a golden retriever dog that looks exactly the same as the ghost dog who tries to save Dom. In the Los Santos cemetery, there is a strange open grave with no body inside. When you look closely, you can find a pistol inside of an empty grave. Nobody really knows what it means. Okay, this might sound crazy, and yeah, maybe it is. But there's this theory from a YouTuber called False that suggests Lester might actually be working for the FIB, because how else could he just make the cops disappear after a robbery or a shootout? And he's also got dirt on everyone, knows every shady deal going on, and somehow has access to banks and all kinds of high-level systems. Sure, he's an amazing hacker, but maybe it's his connections with the agencies that let him pull off things that no one else can. Yeah, there are many plot holes in this, but it's a fun theory to think about. Many fans believe that Trevor killed both Deborah and Floyd after things got heated between the three. The time where Deborah pulled out a gun and Floyd pulled out a knife. They started threatening each other, mostly aimed towards Trevor, and then all of a sudden the screen turns dark and Trevor walks out all covered in blood, suggesting he murdered the two. But there's another theory that suggests Trevor didn't actually kill both. Fans believe it went like this. So Deborah shot Floyd as he had the knife and was threatening. Meanwhile, Trevor grabbed the knife from Floyd and then killed Deborah as revenge. By the end of GTA Vice City, Tommy Vercetti had solidified himself as the kingpin of a massive criminal empire. But what really happened after that? Well, it seems Tommy kept running the underworld, and during that time, his relationship with Ken Rosenberg fell apart due to Ken's cocaine addiction. Because in GTA San Andreas, Ken mentions Tommy cutting all ties with him and not even answering his calls. And judging from a post on Ken Paul's website in 2002, it seems Tommy's empire was still running strong in the early 2000s. The post from Ken reads, "See Tom, I didn't mention your name nowhere. Maybe you won't get us killed now, okay?" Hinting that Tommy is still very much alive and in power. In GTA Online, there is a small treasure hunt quest which starts with the player receiving an email from Vanderland at iFind.com, which I'm sure you already know is a nod to Dutch's gang from RDR2. Upon completing this quest, you get this double action revolver, which is said to be in the family for a very long time. Fans believe this means the email is from one of Dutch's descendants who sends us on this quest. While we are talking about legacies, there is another character from RDR whose descendants seem to be keeping the family business alive. I'm talking about the Sasquatch Hunter. Yep, this old guy from RDR2's Undead Nightmares DLC is sent you on this mission to track down Bigfoot. A very similar looking guy pops up in GTA 5, claiming that this time he's finally going to catch Bigfoot. It can't be the same guy, but it's entirely possible he's a descendant. There's this interesting video I came across where Franklin's receptionist from GTA Online is talking about some crazy guy who came into the agency asking for Franklin. Apparently, this guy claimed they used to work together, got all angry, and even threatened to make a shit on the counter. That definitely sounds like Trevor, right? I mean, who else could it be?
This crazy dude swung by earlier, dressed like a hobo, like really on edge. He swore him and Mr. Clinton used to work together. Got really angry when I said he wasn't available. I had to stop him from shitting on the desk. Seriously.
Now there's another theory behind these strange body bags, which is really interesting, you guys. Hey Rose radio station has a host named Mary Beth Mabel, who during one of her airings says,
"There's one thing I believe in my marriages, it's Darwinism. Survival of the fittest. So far, I've buried 9 of the bastards."
She had 6 husbands, all of whom are now 6 feet under, and there are a total of 6 body bags in the grave. What makes this theory even more believable is that she herself lives in Boone County, the same place the bodies are found. She even mentions driving some sort of truck, which could actually be the abandoned Bobcat we find near the mass grave. Could these bodies actually belong to her husbands? Let me know what you think. We all know Trevor survives the events of GTA 5, at least in the canon ending, which is C, if you don't already know. What has he been up to since then? Well, apparently, Trevor managed to turn his life around and became a lifestyle guru. Yeah, I know, sounds bizarre for someone like Trevor, but during the Smuggler's Run DLC, Ron actually mentions it. This DLC came out back in 2017, and by 2022, Trevor's old businesses have mostly been abandoned. The Fooligans gang has even taken over his old meth lab and warehouse. Oh, and Ron also reveals that Trevor left his residence in Sandy Shores and moved out to God knows where. Lester is known to keep tabs on everyone and everything criminal. He knows about Nico Bellic, he certainly knows about Michael's shady deal with the FIB, and even all the money laundering and other operations related to the Epsilon program. So how could he not have known that Trevor was still alive? That's because he absolutely did. Firstly, Trevor never tried to hide it or lay low. In fact, he was building his criminal empire using his own freaking name. The reason Lester never brought it up to Michael is believed to be strategic. He wanted to keep Michael focused and under his thumb, ensuring his cooperation without any distraction or the risk of Trevor getting him derailed from his newfound lifestyle. I mean, after all, Lester's plans always have layers. We've seen both Trevor and Franklin make appearances in GTA Online, but not Michael, which raises a lot of questions. Where is he? What's he been up to? Well, where there are questions, there are always theories. Some fans believe Michael is still alive and enjoying his life as a movie producer. This theory comes from the signing the contract mission, where Franklin mentions knowing a movie producer, and many believe he's talking about Michael himself. But that's not all. During a bounty hunting mission in Online, there's a movie schedule with the title Sugar Tits Go Skiing, and if you remember, Sugar Tits was the nickname Michael was called during GTA 5's story story. Fans think Rockstar hasn't shown Michael yet because they're saving him for GTA 6, where he could make a big return as a famous producer. That would be really awesome to see. Throughout GTA 5's storyline, Trevor slept with a variety of people and objects. Man, woman, or even teddy bear. For God's sake, ES doesn't seem to care. His mother, or at least a hallucination of her, even calls him gay. But fans believe Trevor isn't bound by labels. He could sleep with anyone as long as it brings joy to a lonely man. According to him, he was shown sleeping with Floyd, saying how he should spoon him next time. And on the flip side, he was also in a relationship with Patricia, which goes on to show he doesn't care about gender or race or whatever. This becomes much more clear when you visit Trevor's Life Invader page, which hilariously reads, "And he holds a goal" next to his relationship status. Amanda blames Michael for cheating on her with another woman, and it seems like a trait Michael could have picked up from his dad. While it's never explicitly stated, Michael hints at his dad's questionable past during a conversation with Franklin. He explains that he never really knew his dad and how his mother always came up with strange excuses for why he left them. This implies that Michael's father might have cheated on his mom, and that's why she made up all these excuses to cover it up, just so Michael wouldn't hate his dad. But it's pretty clear that his father had left his family for some other woman. It's no secret that Michael made a lot of money robbing banks and then cut a deal with the FIB to have a fresh start away from crimes under a new identity. To keep up this arrangement, Michael supposedly pays Dave a hefty sum every month to maintain his freedom. However, during the Good Husband mission, Amanda mentions how he's lost all his money trading stocks. Later on, Michael himself admits he's drowning in debt up to his eyeballs, and that he should lay off with the day trading, implying that's the reason he's in debt. This, combined with the other theory that says the payments to Dave actually comes from Epsilon, not Michael, makes a lot of sense, with Michael being broke and Epsilon having a reputation for manipulating influential individuals. It's not too far-fetched to think they might be involved in keeping his deal with the FIB afloat for their own advantage. You might already know that Trevor was a military pilot before his entry into a life of crime. Officially, it's believed that the military discharged him due to his worsening mental condition, while some fans think there's more to the story. Trevor has said it himself that he always wanted to be a drug dealer and a weapons trader, and given his position in the military, he had access to high-grade weaponry, which could have tempted him to start smuggling and selling those arms to criminals. It's likely that his superiors caught wind of this at some point, and they had no choice but to kick him out of the service. Could this be true? I don't know. During the mission Complications, Franklin is tasked with repossessing Jimmy's car for Simon. But just as Franklin is en route to deliver the car back to the dealership, Michael suddenly appears in the back seat with a gun pointed at Franklin's head, telling him to keep driving. There are tons of theories about how Michael ended up in the car, something he saw Franklin approaching and quickly hid in the car, but that doesn't explain how he knew Franklin was headed for the car. Others believe Michael was simply hiding from his family, but why would he be armed then? Well, here's my theory. I think Michael knew about the car's ridiculous interest rate because it was bought using one of his cards, obviously, and suspected Jimmy might eventually lead him to the guy from whom he bought the car. So he staked out in the car to follow Jimmy. But instead of Jimmy, Franklin shows up, unintentionally leading Michael straight to Simon's dealership. What do you guys think? Does this theory make any sense? Let me know in the comments down below. Trevor's love interest for Patricia was both odd and yet somehow fascinating. But fans think that it all stems from Trevor's mommy issues. For one, Patricia is much older than Trevor, and much like his mother, she's one of the few people not intimidated by Trevor, even after seeing his worst side. Secondly, she spent most of her life around violent and unstable men like her husband. She knows exactly how to handle someone like Trevor without provoking him, which is something most people can't manage. But really, the biggest reason Trevor is so drawn to Patricia is that she validates him in ways his mother never did. Trevor's mom constantly belittled him, reminding him that he wasn't worth anything. Patricia, on the other hand, offers him the emotional support and attention that Trevor always craved but never got from his mother. I'm sure you guys remember Ursula, the sweet-looking hitchhiker you can pick up as Trevor or Franklin. Well, it turns out she's way more disturbing than she seems. A total psychopath, much like Trevor. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm sure you've seen this unmarked grave on the mountain near the lighthouse. Well, there is a theory that says it belongs to Ursula's mother. Why? Well, if you spend time with Ursula, she mentions that the last person who, well, tried to touch her ended up dead. She even admits to poisoning her own mother. As a hitchhiker, it's not a stretch to think she might have buried her mom up there on the hill.
Where are we? Don't worry. These mountains all start to look the same after a while.
Hey, can't wait to take out the spam files.
I come bearing more gifts.
Good to us, fella.
So you keep saying.
Okay, this one might just ruin your childhood, but if you have played GTA Vice City, I'm sure you remember the ice cream truck mission. You know, the one where you sell ice cream to the pets around the city? As a kid, I really don't find anything odd about it. It seemed like a fun little side mission. But when I grew up, I found that it wasn't really ice cream. Tommy was actually distributing drugs using the ice cream truck as a front. And that I think about it, I mean, yeah, that makes much more sense. Why would a gangster go out its way to sell ice cream anyway? Be honest, guys, I can't be the only one who actually thinks this was ice cream. We all know Nico has a disturbing past, and he came to America hoping to leave it all behind, drawn in by his cousin Roman's supposedly comfortable lifestyle. But as we go through the story, Nico opens up about his past, mentioning the war he was part of and how he did very bad things. Some players believe Nico might have actually killed kids during that war, because when Eileen of Austin asks him about his soul, Nico says a very disturbing line. After you walk into a village and you see 50 children, all sitting neatly in a row against the church wall, each with their throats cut and their hands chopped off, you realize that the creature that could do this doesn't have a soul. Was Nico talking about himself? Did he really do something that messed up? Let me know what you guys think. There's been many theories around alligators being spotted in the sewers in GTA 4. People claim they've seen them, some even say they've been attacked by one. And while there's never been solid proof, this theory might actually have some truth to it. In the game's internet, there's a news piece where someone claims they have lost their pet crocodile and are asking for help to find it. So all these wild hunts and sightings might actually have some truth to them. But is there undeniable proof that alligators do exist in GTA 4? Well, not exactly. Okay, this theory is literally wild. In GTA games, we've seen NPCs do some crazy things and put their lives in danger. Sometimes they jump in front of your car, other times run straight into the water, but it's mostly as their AI messing up. However, in GTA San Andreas, there are some NPCs like this camera guy who seem to deliberately jump into the water to end their life. Even in GTA 5, where NPCs have been seen to jump off from bridges, and it's believed that AI in these NPCs have become self-aware, and AIs can't take this bleak and crime-ridden world anymore. And that's why more and more NPCs are actually preferring death over living in a GTA world. That's really dark to think about. In GTA San Andreas, some fans believe CJ is being followed by a spy that watches him everywhere. Some say it's Mike Torreno because he works for an unnamed government agency, most likely the CIA, and he makes CJ do several missions for him. But during one mission, he straight up tells CJ, "I will always be watching you, Carl." Now, we don't know if he means this literally or just in a metaphorical big brother is watching kind of way. It's unclear, but given he's a CIA dude with some shady stuff going on, it's not a stretch to think he might actually have CJ under surveillance 24/7. Now, there's been a lot of rumors about cryptid characters in GTA games, like Mothman, Slenderman, Bigfoot, and who knows what else. But probably the most fascinating and scary one is Ratman. Not only is he believed to live in the sewers of GTA 5, but in GTA 4, you can actually see some evidence that he's real. When you visit the underground sewers in GTA 4, you can find homeless people hiding under there, trying to stay off the streets and set up temporary shelters. But every once in a while, you will come across some homeless guy lying dead with blood stains around them. Since the player is usually the one doing the killing and not NPCs randomly killing each other, it's possible that Ratman is the one responsible behind these. Maybe these poor souls confronted him and paid the price. In GTA San Andreas, you can find a mass grave in Bone County in the El Castillo del Diablo area, where you can see these 5 black body bags. There are many theories around these dead bodies, with fans suspecting it could be the work of some shady serial killer or the Sindaco Mafia, whose members can actually be seen in this area digging up a hole. There must be them, right? Getting rid of their victims by tossing them into a remote area. However, here's another theory that suggests this could actually be the work of the security working in Area 69. These people might have tried to get into that area or might have seen something strange, and the security there had to get rid of them. After all, we've seen how they shoot on sight when you get near the place. Could the bodies be the result of a government cover-up? Who knows? For years, we have believed that CJ was 24 during the events of GTA San Andreas. You can even find websites confidently stating it. But there's no official proof or mention of CJ's exact age anywhere in the game or by Rockstar. Of course, CJ does look like he's in his mid-20s, so it's not a bad guess. But the theory is that the supposed age comes from his voice actor, young Melee, who was 24 at the time of recording. Aside from that, CJ's exact birth rate remains a mystery. We all know about Amanda and her countless affairs in GTA 5. Tennis guy, the yoga dude, Demon's teacher, and countless others. But don't you find it odd that despite all of that, Michael just keeps coming back to her? Some fans believe that Michael and Amanda are actually in an open relationship. This theory suggests it all started when Michael was caught with another woman while he was married to Amanda, and ever since then, they've been in a sort of unspoken agreement. All that drama and outrage whenever Michael catches Amanda with another man, it seems like a part of the act they've been keeping up. The other theory related to Michael and his family suggests that the real reason behind him always getting back to his dysfunctional family isn't out of love. I mean, he has a degenerate, entitled, self-absorbed son, a daughter who seems to be on track to follow her mother's questionable footsteps, and a wife, well, you know all about her. Why would Michael keep trying to reunite his family after all that? Well, some fans believe that Michael doesn't want to give up half of his property in a divorce and risk his shady FIB deal coming to light during a court battle. That's why he just keeps them close, letting Amanda live her life the way she wants, all while keeping things smooth for his own benefit. What do you guys think? Could that actually be the case? Remember the prologue scene where Michael gets shot and injured, but somehow the bullet doesn't kill him? In fact, he doesn't even bleed. This little detail has sparked a wild fan theory. What if Michael was actually shot with a rubber bullet? I mean, he had an agreement with FIB agent Dame Norton, so his death wasn't supposed to be real. So this rubber bullet theory actually makes a little sense. The Epsilon program, which is a parody of Scientology in GTA, has 12 tenets of Keflam that they follow, but some fans believe they uncovered the secret 13th tenet. This theory is based on a newspaper article found lying on the road, which reads, "Women outnumbered men by 2 to 1 in Liberty City." At the end of the sentence is a signature used by the Epsilon program to mark its tenets. The newspaper uses the same signature, which kinda indicates it's another one of Keflam's tenets, the 13th one to be exact. There are many characters crucial for GTA 5's story, but some fans believe it's actually Amanda's tennis coach, without whom GTA 5 wouldn't have happened in the first place. Let's entertain this theory for a minute here. It all begins with Amanda cheating on Michael with the tennis coach. Michael, caught in a fit of rage, chases the guy, who flees to Martin Madras's mansion, believing it's the coach's house. Michael tears it down, unknowingly putting himself in debt to Madraso. In that debt, it sets off this epic chain of events that shaped the entire GTA 5 story. But when you think about it, if Amanda's tennis coach had just stayed professional, none of this madness would have happened. In GTA games, we often hear random NPCs and other characters talk about how the government is controlling people's minds. The first character to truly believe this was the Truth, that paranoid hippie from San Andreas who always spoke in this cryptic way, saying that the government was deeply involved in everyone's lives. Another character who shares his thoughts is Marvin Trill, the host of Area 53. He claims it all started with the Genetron, which was GTA's version of a retro gaming platform similar to Nintendo. Marvin believes the Genetron was actually a mind control device that fed NPCs messages throughout the 80s to brainwash them. Diamond in GTA 4 has remained a pretty big mystery. No one really knows who it originally belonged to, but throughout the story, we've seen it change hands multiple times, and interestingly, every time someone possesses it, they end up dead in some weird way, which has led fans to believe that this diamond is actually inspired by the real-life Hope Diamond. The Hope Diamond is known for its curse, with a history of bad luck for anyone who owns it. If you paid attention to Trevor's truck, you can see this beer attached to the front grille of his truck. The beer is Mr. Raspberry Jam, and he actually belonged to Floyd, the one who Trevor used to, well, sleep with. But Floyd's not the only guy Trevor molested. Some fans believe that this poor beer also became Trevor's target. If you look closely at the beer before and after Trevor had it, you will see it looks significantly more messed up. That questionable white stuff on the beer is also believed to be Trevor's doing. What do you think it did to Mr. Raspberry? Let me know. This next theory is definitely a bit out there, especially considering that we all believe Franklin's parents are dead. There's an old guy in Sandy Shores with the last name Clinton. He lives alone and mentioned that the war made him this way. Some fans think this mysterious man could actually be Franklin's dad, who abandoned his family after being unable to cope with the trauma of war. There are fans who actually believe that Lester is Zero from San Andreas, and the theory kind of makes more sense when you look at it. Zero was in his 20s back in 1992, and by 2013, Lester was in his 40s, so the timeline adds up. Then both these characters share a talent for technology and gadgets, with Zero known for crazy inventions that we see in Lester as well, although more evil, like that explosive device he used to take out Norse on live TV. I know, it sounds crazy, but not as crazy as Michael as Tommy Vercetti. I mean, come on guys. We've already talked about different theories around Trevor murdering his mom and dad, but some fans believe he has also killed his brother brother, Ryan. In GTA 5, Trevor has a conversation with a zombie cosplayer in Los Santos where he talks about Ryan, his brother. Trevor claims Ryan died in a tragic car accident before the events of the game, but he admits he's glad that Ryan's gone. He even says that the guy reminds him of Ryan, and the way Trevor talks about Ryan's death almost sounds like he's hinting it wasn't an accident after all. Violence and death has never been a big deal in GTA games. I mean, even the cops don't care much about civilians when they want to catch you, but there's a reason for that. Some fans believe that the healthcare system in GTA is so advanced it can actually revive people back from the dead. Now before you roll your eyes, think about it. You've all seen how those first responders in the game just compress people back to life in seconds, even if they've just been run over 100 times. You remember the cutscene at the start when CJ comes home after his mom's death and Smoke tries to hit him with a bat, thinking he's some intruder? It was always kind of weird. I mean, what was Smoke even doing alone in the house? Well, some fans believe he was actually there to kill Sweet, seeing how the first attack on him failed. And with Sweet out of the way, Smoke could have taken control of the hood, likely with the ballers backing him up. But when CJ unexpectedly shows up, it throws Smoke off, and he has to come up with an excuse on the spot, pretending like nothing was wrong. In GTA 5, when we visit Grove Street, all we see are the ballers running the place, which makes us wonder what happened to the Grove Street families. Well, fans believe that after the events of GTA San Andreas, with CJ gone, they actually walked away from the gang life, and the ballers slowly took over. Lamar mentions that some of them have even become CEOs of companies and stuff. In GTA 5, there's an abandoned mine shaft, which is already creepy on its own, but inside of it, you can actually find a dead body. There are quite some theories around it, but some fans believe that this body actually belongs to Cole Phelps from LA Noire, because his body was never found after it was swept away in that massive underground flood, and the fact that his body is also dressed in a way that resembles Cole's attire, and not something you would expect to see in GTA 5's timeline. There is actually another theory that tells us why shooting and killing isn't a big deal, and it's got nothing to do with medicine. According to this one, the GTA games aren't actually games, but movies being made within the GTA universe itself. Think about it. Everything is so over the top here. The insane action, non-stop crimes, ridiculous stunts, and the fact that you can just destroy everything in the city and still casually go on about your day. It all feels like a Hollywood action blockbuster, not real life. You remember the big score mission where the three protagonists try to pull off a massive heist together? When they enter the bank, they meet the manager who checks each of their IDs. Michael and Franklin pass through without issue, but when it's Trevor's turn, there's a noticeable pause. There's a theory that suggests the manager recognizes Trevor from the first prologue heist. Although all of them were masks back then, Trevor takes this off when he exits the car. His face is clearly captured on a security camera and shown in the news, so when Trevor walks into the bank for the big score, the manager might actually recognize him from that earlier incident. After Trevor brutally kills Johnny Klebitz, his trailer gets trashed and Braun tells him it was the Lost MC boys seeking revenge, but some fans think it wasn't the bikers at all. Instead, they believe Braun was the one who trashed the trailer, using it as a way to vent his frustration towards Trevor. He then blamed it on the Lost MC to avoid suspicion and make it look like an act of revenge. We've seen school buses, strollers, and all sorts of signs that kids exist in the GTA universe, but despite that, you will never spot a single child in the game. Well, not as pets at least. Sure, we know it's mainly because of censorship and policies and whatnot, but here's a more creative explanation. Some fans think that all the kids in the GTA world have been sent off to Boulevard Academy, the infamous school from Bully, to keep them safe from all the violence and crimes. This is actually pretty interesting to think about. Lamar has always been an interesting character in GTA 5, and unlike most NPCs, his movements and animations are quite like the main protagonist, and there's a reason for that. It's believed that Lamar was actually meant to be a playable character in the game, and he was supposed to replace Franklin at some point, probably after his death. This was actually kind of confirmed by his voice actor, who said Lamar had a more important role in the game, but due to some personal problems in his life, he couldn't work with Rockstar, and so the whole idea was scratched. Continuing with the theories about why crime is so rampant in GTA, here's another interesting one, and is actually inspired by real-world events. Back in 1933, there was something called the business plot, a supposed plan by wealthy businessmen to overthrow the government and establish a dictatorship. While it failed in real life, this theory suggests it might have actually succeeded in the GTA universe. According to this theory, it explains why people with underworld connections, or those in high places, often get away with literally any crime. The theory suggests they have an understanding with law enforcement, allowing them to operate above the law without facing consequences. Some fans believe that every NPC in GTA is secretly being tracked by some kind of device. I mean, think about it. No matter where you commit a crime, even in the middle of nowhere with no witnesses, the cops somehow always know. The theory is that NPCs are implanted with health tracking chips as part of some shady insurance deal. These chips supposedly help lower medical costs for companies, but they also make sure the authorities are never too far behind. Speaking of Ratman, some fans think the infamous Humane Labs from GTA 5, the same place you raid during the monkey business mission, was involved in creating this mutant. The lab is rumored to test chemicals and experiment with dangerous substances, possibly leading to mutated creatures. This theory even ties back to GTA San Andreas, where the Zombatech facility was believed to be researching a zombie virus. So these experiments aren't new to the GTA world, and Ratman might just be the terrifying proof of these experiments. Every GTA map is surrounded by water. Sure, it's a great way to make the world feel massive while keeping players from wandering too far, but some fans think there's a deeper meaning behind it. They believe Rockstar is symbolizing how the NPCs, and maybe even the players, are trapped in their own little bubble, isolated from the rest of the world, which fans believe is Rockstar's way of saying that Americans are somehow living in their own bubble, unaware of what's going on in the rest of the world. At the start of the game, we see this prequel robbery scene where Brad gets shot and dies on the spot. Well, there's a widely believed theory that suggests that it wasn't Brad who was supposed to die. Instead, the bullet was actually meant for Trevor. The idea is that Brad just happened to step in front at the wrong time, taking the hit Trevor was meant to get. There's even a line from Michael later in the game where he tells Franklin during an FIB mission that the wrong guy got killed while talking about this particular heist. This isn't the only theory that suggests NPCs in GTA are becoming self-aware. Many fans also believe that they have become more angry and are out to get you. In GTA Online, NPCs have been acting like they're out to get you. They drive like maniacs, swear just to hit you, or even jump into you off the bridges. It's like they're tired of all the killings players caused and are finally fighting back. I don't know if that's true, but they surely have become more reckless and brutal. But we're still on the topic of GTA Online. There are many fans who actually believe that all the random updates and crazy stuff Rockstar adds to GTA Online are actually tests for GTA 6. The idea is that Rockstar uses GTA Online to see what players like and what works best so they can make the next game even better. It makes a whole lot of sense, especially with all these wild things they've added recently. Let's just hope they don't add flying bikes in GTA 6. Ever seen those movies where after all the crazy events, you find out it was all a dream or just someone telling a story? Well, some fans think GTA 5 is exactly that, a story playing out in Michael's head during his therapy sessions. The theory suggests that Trevor is actually a representation of Michael's own psychosis, his troubles and fears, while Franklin is who Michael wishes his own kids would grow up to be: ambitious, hardworking, and loyal. I know how that sounds, but kudos to this Reddit guy who came up with this theory. Nico came to the United States to live the American dream, and while he did make it big in his own way, there's one thing he never truly owns: a car. Sure, he drives plenty of them, but if you notice, he never actually has a car that's illegally his. The theory is that this might be because Nico's an illegal immigrant, and there's a lot of red tape. For a world as unlawful as GTA, it's really ironic and funny how this small detail keeps it real. Trevor is, without a doubt, one of the most unpredictable and terrifying characters in GTA history. He's violent, short-tempered, and there's literally no limit. I mean, we've seen the guy torture people or even stomp a guy to death. This has led fans to believe that Trevor could actually be a demon in a human body, and it's not just his personality. Trevor's special abilities make him almost invisible, triggering this rage mode that also enhances his attack, and when he dies, his body even catches fire. I mean, all the signs are there. This has been in the talks for quite some time now. Many believe that cops in GTA 5 treat Franklin differently compared to Michael or Trevor. The theory suggests that cops racial profile Franklin, often reacting more aggressively to him for no reason. There's been videos of players playing as Franklin and getting shot just for looking at the cops the wrong way. What do you guys think about this? Trevor going all wild is one of the most fun things in GTA 5, but fans believe that those aren't actually real, but all in Trevor's head, because during the rampages, no wanted stars ever pop up, even though Trevor kills people. And after the rampages, there's no mention of them in the in-game news, something that usually happens after big crimes in GTA. So could they actually just be Trevor's twisted fantasies? I mean, why not? GTA games are all fun and games until you learn about the dark part, and here's one. If you visit Little Haiti, you can find Romer's funeral home, which seems normal at first, but head to the cemetery and you will find a human skeleton with one arm missing. Nearby, there is a butcher shop owned by the same Romero family. If you zoom in on the shop's display window, you will see a human arm for sale and a package labeled human organs for transplant. Fans believe this all points to the Romero family running a secret human organ trafficking operation, which is as creepy as it sounds. Rockstar and politicians have always been at odds, especially when it comes to controversy controversies surrounding GTA games. Hillary Clinton was one of them. After the whole GTA San Andreas hot coffee controversy went viral, Hillary tried to introduce stricter regulations for video games, especially GTA San Andreas. So how did Rockstar respond? Well, they added the Statue of Liberty with Hillary's smiling face, calling it Statue of Happiness. But instead of a torch, she's holding a giant cup of coffee. There are many things considered to be a crime in GTA games, like hitting people, crashing into a cop car, pointing a gun at a cop, dealing drugs, but never reckless driving or speeding. No matter how fast you're going, cops won't bat an eye. Well, according to a theory, they're technically never breaking the speed limit. In GTA, time moves way faster than in real life. 2 seconds in real life equals 1 minute in game, and this means even if you're driving the fastest car at top speeds, it's still way too slow to break any actual speed limits in the game's world. If you're looking for more proof about this whole arrangement between Michael and Amanda, you should head over to the Hush Smush site, which is a dating platform in GTA 5. Here you can actually find what seems to be Amanda's profile with the username FoxyMama21, and while there is no clear picture, the bio is a dead giveaway. Husband ignoring and sitting by the pool all day, likes yoga, acts like someone 20 years younger, and this suggests that Amanda is still dating other men while married to Michael. GTA games have their fair share of unexplained mysteries, and one of the weirdest comes from GTA San Andreas. If you've ever driven through the countryside, you'll probably notice random cars rolling downhill with no driver inside. Some fans believe these are actually ghost cars placed in these areas to spook the players who wander around late at night, but there is a much simpler explanation. I mean, it could just be a developer mistake. They might have just hit the spawn point at the wrong position and the cars are simply rolling down because of the incline. I'm pretty sure that was confirmed too. After self-driving cars, let's talk about spy helicopters. In GTA 4, you can find helicopters that just hover in one spot forever, almost like they're stalking you. Well, some fans believe these aren't just random glitches, but actual spy helicopters keeping tabs on Nico. You can find them hovering near places like Union Drive or Algonquin, and they're often the Annihilator model, a lethal military helicopter. Fans believe that these helicopters belong to federal agents or some other secret organization, keeping an eye on your every move. In the intro scene of GTA Vice City, you can see a man stabbed and hung on the meat hook in the locker behind Sonny Forelli and Marco's Bistro. Initially, some fans speculated that this was Victor Vance, suggesting Sonny might have had him eliminated. However, that theory was debunked when Victor and Lance Vance appeared later alongside the Forelli family. Later, it was believed to be a nod to the movie Goodfellas, where a similar scene shows a guy found dead in a meat locker, so the guy was named Frankie Carbonet. This one is more of an interesting find than a theory. There's a billboard in GTA San Andreas advertising True Grime Street Cleaners with the cutting slogan, "Get rid of old rubbish fast." Fans think it's Rockstar throwing shade at True Crime for trying to compete with GTA games. Rockstar's sense of humor is brutal, but you've got to admit it's kind of cheeky but also hilarious. Okay, this is pretty wild. In Tommy Vercetti's hotel room, you can find posters promoting adult star Candy Sucks films, but there's one poster that really stands out. It's for a movie called Ratatata, something featuring a character who looks just like Claude. I mean, he's wearing those iconic green trousers and a black jacket, and this has given birth to the theory that Claude might actually have been a movie star before he decided to join the life of crime. Remember Truth, a hippie from GTA San Andreas who was always talking about aliens and secret government stuff? Well, some fans think he's still around in GTA 4, or at least his legacy, because in GTA 4, Nico gets this email from someone named Chiliad8888 saying stuff like, "Feel the truth, love the freedom." There's even a link to a conspiracy website with a post from a user called Truth who writes about spiritual awakenings and hidden truths. I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that Truth would say. In GTA San Andreas, JJ sometimes gets these strange phone calls, especially when you're near Area 69. But instead of someone talking, you just hear these creepy, buzzing noises. Like some kind of monster trying to communicate. Some fans think it's connected to Mothman, who is quite a legend in GTA games, known to show up in mysterious places. Or could it be a distress call from the alien held captive in Area 69? I mean, who knows, right? Something absolutely insane. The World War III theory. Now, this is an interesting theory that claims that we have avoided World War III thanks to Kim Jong-un getting an early copy of GTA 6 by forcing Rockstar Games to provide him a copy to avoid having their HQ nuked. And that was just the tip of the iceberg of today's video. I got hundreds of additional theories coming up, and you definitely do not want to miss out on these. And moving on, the Shelley mystery might not have been a mystery after all. It could just have been the developers messing with us. Well, to be fair, we all know that Rockstar loves peppering their games with tantalizing mysteries and Easter eggs. And they can also be certain the fans know this because of all the theories and mysteries surrounding the game. One of these mysteries is the elusive Mount Chiliad mural. This mural could be there for no reason other than to troll the secret seekers. And it definitely seems to have worked. Players have been agonizing over the mural for half a decade now with seemingly no end or concrete answers in sight. Sure, it looks interesting and could lead to further secrets, but let's be real here, Rockstar devs are known trolls, and this time we may have been the victims. Now let's head all the way back to Vice City. I actually found this interesting theory on Reddit that claims that Victor Vance, who dies in the opening mission of GTA Vice City, is not actually the same Victor Vance we play as in GTA Vice City stories. Instead, the theory posits that the person who dies is either Pete Vance, Victor's ill younger brother, or a lookalike hired by Lance Vance to manipulate the situation. The reasoning for this theory revolves around Lance's insecurities and physical discrepancies in character height between the games. Now let's break it down. In GTA Vice City stories, Victor builds the Vance crime family alongside Lance. However, Lance is shown to be impulsive, unreliable, and insecure. The theory suggests that Lance might have faked Victor's death or hired someone to impersonate him to regain control of the Vance crime family after Victor outshone him. This aligns with Lance's manipulative nature and tendency to crave attention and control. In GTA Vice City stories, Victor Vance is noticeably shorter than Lance. This is consistent in gameplay and cutscenes. But in GTA Vice City, the Victor seen in the opening cutscene appears taller than both Lance and Tommy Vercetti. Additionally, in GTA Vice City, Tommy and Lance are roughly the same height, and this inconsistency in heights between games fuels speculation that the Victor who dies isn't the same character from Vice City stories. Pete Vance, the younger and frequently mentioned third brother of the Vance family, suffers from health issues and is never seen in any games. The theory speculates that Pete could have stepped in to pose as Victor, potentially at Lance's request. This would explain why the Victor in GTA Vice City dies so quickly and doesn't seem as capable as the real Victor from Vice City stories. Lance's inferiority complex is a recurring theme. In Vice City stories, Victor is more grounded and focused, while Lance is often reckless and erratic. If Lance felt overshadowed by Victor, he may have orchestrated Victor's death, or at least allowed it to happen, so he could rebuild the family's criminal empire his own way. Some argue that the inconsistencies are simply the result of Rockstar Games making retcons or creative decisions during development, considering that Vice City Stories was released 4 years after Vice City, so character designs, heights, and story elements were adjusted retroactively. However, fans often enjoy weaving theories to make sense of these discrepancies within the narrative. The difference in height and personality, combined with Lance's insecure nature, suggests that Lance may have used a lookalike, or Pete Vance, to stage Victor's death, allowing him to take over the Vance crime family. Whether it's an intentional plot twist or simply a result of retconning by Rockstar, the theory adds an intriguing layer to the Vance brothers story. Jeez, that was a long one. Let's move on to GTA 3. Maria Latour did get shot and died at the end of the final mission in GTA 3. But not by Claude, it was Tony who shot her. After knowing that Claude killed the Salvatore and became Maria's lover, he tracked and hunted him down alongside with the Leon henchman. After receiving information that he's last seen in the Shoreside Vale shooting the Colombian cartel, he went to the Cochrane Dam and observed if the cartel would do his job for him. They didn't, and Claude rescued Maria after shooting an RPG at a helicopter, and seeing how he has the chance to hit two birds in one stone, he hid behind the bridge for an ambush and with a Salvatore to stop Tony from killing Maria for years of taunting and verbal insults. His grudge and anger aimed for her first and shot her before she could finish complaining to Claude. Very interesting to say the least. Now, another crazy Reddit user came up with this theory. It pertains to GTA Online and how our characters could be connected to aliens. Well, how? Well, when you play as your character in GTA 5 Online, you exhibit superhuman abilities that set you apart from NPCs. You can survive what would be lethal gunshots, can carry millions of pounds with seemingly no effort, and are much faster and stronger than the regular NPC. This, along with the fact that our character maintains a level of anonymity with us never actually seeing them communicate communicate with other NPCs or side characters makes this theory more credible. What sets this theory in motion is how much of a presence the aliens have in GTA 5 Online and how much they're connected to our characters as a whole. Many of the secret missions that can be accessed by grinding and completing very specific sets of requirements often contain some sort of alien messaging, whether that be by finding an alien egg at Fort Zancudo, or as we saw in the Halloween update where our character would actually get abducted by these aliens if we got under the beam of light. One thing to note is how when you're around someone who just recently left the lobby, their online character would seemingly turn back normal, exhibiting normal GTA NPC actions, as if there was something possessing them. I've also noticed that when you shoot these recently left players, they will run and scream, which is something an active player wouldn't do, as their characters will remain motionless until you kill them. No screaming or running until the person controlling their player decides to move. This leaves you to the last point, possession. The aliens are using supernatural abilities to possess these vessels or humans and grant them powers, which would make them significantly stronger and faster than the regular NPC. I've heard a theory just like this but about us in real life, so maybe these theories do go deeper than we think. Now let's talk about GTA 5's Walking Man. Now I don't know how many players know about this, but if you are to play in director mode with vehicles and NPCs turned off, sometimes you will see a man walking through the streets as you're driving. When you turn around though, he usually disappears. This could be a bug, could be intentional, I don't know, but it's still very creepy nonetheless. Another theory claims that the game takes place in the underworld. Since the dawn of Grand Theft Auto, the series has been criticized for its relentless violence, but perhaps it all makes sense. You see, we're not controlling dangerous madmen in a world just like our own. We're controlling sinners in an underworld full of them. The world of GTA 5 is filled with greed, selfishness, unchecked power, and yes, endless carnage and mayhem. Perhaps these vices abound not as themes or social commentary, but because we're literally in an underworld full of vice and sinners. This also explains why the playable characters don't permanently pass away. They are already gone. That's certainly crazy, but this one might just be even crazier. Trevor might have moved to Vinewood just to troll Michael. If there's one thing we know about Trevor, it's that he loves to troll his friends and acquaintances. Well, that and the fact that he's a madman. Well, in the online DLC, The Smuggler's Run, Ron mentions to the player that Trevor has gone Vinewood, implying that he's now a shallow and greedy individual. As we all know, Michael lives in Vinewood and has clout and connections in the movie business. Maybe Trevor never stopped his trolling ways, moved to Vinewood to be closer to Michael, and continues to ruin his life by interfering in the movie business. To be fair, that's certainly something Trevor would do, but another theory claims that the police are wrong. Well, excessively angry and unnecessarily violent cops are another staple of Grand Theft Auto that we've all grown to accept as a simple gameplay mechanic. However, some players have cited that the cops of GTA 5 are insanely corrupt and discriminatory, hence their violent tendencies. A simple traffic infraction will often lead to a massive shootout, which in turn will lead to your inevitable demise and some substantial hospital/jail fees. Perhaps the police forces in hospitals are all in on this together, and the police are so trigger happy because the outlandish jail and hospital fees provide a steady income stream. Oof, that's a dark theory right there. Here are some of the dumbest facts about GTA games. During the Boomshine Saigon mission in Vice City, Phil Cassidy tries to show off a homemade bomb, and things obviously don't go well. The bomb goes off and it looks like his right arm gets blown off, but when you drop him off at the hospital, it's actually his left arm that's missing for some weird reason. Now, Phil shows up again in GTA 3, and yeah, still missing the left arm. So either he grew the right one back, or someone at Rockstar just blew up the wrong arm during the cutscene by mistake. Also, what's up with that drunk driving effect while we're dropping Phil off at the hospital? It's not like Phil's the one behind the wheel, and Tommy seems totally fine. But this isn't the only time Rockstar's artists have messed up. On one of the GTA 4 covers, there's a picture of Lola Del Rio, and if you look closely, she has more than 5 fingers on one hand. That's definitely just the design oversight, not one of those weird AI generated mistakes with an extra leg sticking out of the middle. Still, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Tracy drives this tiny, compact car, and it's so small, you can actually drive it inside Michael's house. If you line it up just right, you can fit it through the front door and drive it around the the living room even. Totally pointless, but also kinda hilarious.
Oh, no. Our new ammunition is knowledge. What?
If you ever sneak behind the counter at a clicking bell and zoom in on the cashier machine, you will notice one of the buttons literally says Ask CJ.
What you saying about me, fool?
What's up, man?
It's a clear little nod to San Andreas and our guy, Carl Johnson. And while you're back there, take a look at what the employees are wearing. Their uniforms say Taste the Cock in big bold letters. It's one of those classic GTA things. Completely inappropriate, somewhat still right on brand for a Rockstar game. Remember that early mission in San Andreas where CJ and Sweet head out to spray over rival gang tags? Sweet drops CJ off and says he's going to cover the other areas. Sounds fair, right? But if you actually follow him instead of doing the mission, you will see he is dressed straight back to Grove Street and barks outside the house. And that's it. He just sits there doing nothing until CJ calls him to say he's done with the mission. Clearly, we weren't supposed to check on him. But yeah, now we know.
Grove Street, baby.
Yeah, for the Grove, baby.
This is not the only incident when players have found some weird stuff happening during the missions. In the famous Follow the Damn Train CJ mission, there were actually two trains on the tracks, one that you're supposed to chase and another going in the opposite direction that you come across somewhere in the middle of the mission. Now if you ditch the mission and decide to follow that second train instead, things get strange. When it reaches the end of the railway, it suddenly makes a turn and it starts floating into the air. It's not part of the mission or anything like that. I mean, you could jump on it and watch it travel the skies. I guess Rockstar didn't think someone would actually do that.
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
Most people don't know this, but in GTA 3, Claude never had a name. No one in the game ever calls him Claude. They either don't refer to him at all or just use nicknames. It wasn't until GTA San Andreas came out that we finally learned his real name. So yeah, for a long time, he was just that silent guy in GTA 3.
This Carl? This is my new man.
There's a church in Hill Valley that has some weird mirrored text on it. If you flip it, it reads St. Brigid's Baptist Church, even though the name outside clearly says Hill Valley Church. Turns out, Rockstar likely just copy-pasted the original St. Brigid's Church, flipped the model, changed the color, and dropped it into the map to make a new church. However, they forgot to flip the text back. Speaking of Rockstar forgetting things, there's a wrecked car in GTA 5 that has a California license plate instead of the usual in-game San Andreas plate. It's probably just another dev asset they forgot to swap out. You probably remember those floaty health pickups in GTA Vice City that restore your health. However, I just found out that not all of them are free. The ones you pick up from hospitals actually cost you $20 per pill. It's like Rockstar's poking fun at US healthcare for being expensive. We've all seen NPCs walk into water and assumed it was just some random glitch. But in GTA Vice City, there's a mission where Lance flies a helicopter under a bridge, and right at that moment, an NPC jumps off the bridge. I always thought it was some random encounter, but if you look closely, you'll notice that the guy is actually wearing a spandex uniform. That delivery company with trucks you never actually see on the roads. It's almost like Rockstar was hinting that the company is doing so badly, this poor employee just decided to give up. Maybe it's a coincidence, or maybe it's one of those dark GTA backstories hidden in plain sight. I absolutely hated every boat mission in GTA Vice City because the controls were just the worst. There's this one mission that lets you pull off this pretty cool stunt where you jump your speedboat over this small island with a bunch of NPCs playing golf. However, if you actually land on them, the game gives you a $100 bonus. I guess Rockstar employees were betting on us to do that. In both GTA 4 and GTA 5, there are missions where you have to repossess a car for someone, and in both cases, the car just so happens to belong to a guy named Jimmy.
You recognize this car? Huh? Does it look like it's worth $5 grand a month to you?
In GTA 5, animals can actually call the cops on you if they witness a crime, just like regular NPCs. In the game files discovered by this guy Phil Belloc, they both share the same characteristics when it comes to witnessing a crime. So yeah, even the wildlife snitching out on you. In GTA 4, you will sometimes spot these NPCs sweeping the streets. If you bump into them, they will drop their broomstick, but if you wait a few seconds, they will just magically grow a new one out of nowhere and go right back to sweeping. There are plenty of side activities for each protagonist to do besides the main storyline, and hunting is one of them. You track animals, take photos of your kills, and send them to this guy who pays you. But what you can do instead is send the photos to your other contacts, including 911. And if you do, they actually respond with a message that just says,
"Hello, this is 911. What emergency service do you require?"
In GTA San Andreas, there are quite a few objects in the world that get destroyed during missions, like the bridge that Tenpenny crashes off in the final mission, or the billboard before players jump through during a stunt. But the thing is, you can actually destroy them before the missions even happen. Just throw a grenade or one of those sticker charges and they will break apart. It's kinda stupid how the game just lets you do that.
Come on, man, give me a break.
Now if I asked you what the strongest vehicle in GT San Andreas is, you would probably say the tank, or maybe even the train, since that thing just blows through everything. But no, it's actually the BMX. It's the only rideable vehicle in the game that you can't destroy with weapons. Not even rocket launchers can blow it up.
That's what I'm talking about, that's my dog!
In GT4, you can take your car to an automatic car wash, pay the machine, drive in, and it does the whole thing. Sprays water, foam, brushes, and all that stuff. But if you show up in a convertible, instead of running it through the machine, the game actually sends out a guy to clean it by hand. It was actually pretty smart.
Okay, not bad.
GT5 also lets you mess with just about anyone, including Michael's family. But if you steal Amanda's car, things get personal. Amanda will get angry at Michael, and not long after, Michael will either call or text you, completely losing his mind and threatening to kill you for it.
Hey, you selfish prick! You know how much this car costs?
There are tons of ways to lose the cops in GTA games. Hide in tunnels, switch cars, or just hit up a pay and spray and the cops forget you ever went inside the shop. However, there's one more dumb thing you can do to ditch the cops, and that is by simply going to sleep. You sit inside your safe house, take a nap. When you wake up, the wanted levels will be all gone.
Okay, arrest me, moron. Oh, so close.
In GT4, there's a website called LittleLazySurprisePagan.com. It's supposed to be some kind of kids' beauty pagan site, but it's clearly meant to be super sketchy, because if you try to open it using the in-game browser, you will get a warning saying the site has been shut down by the LCPD and they've logged your IP. And yeah, it's not just a gag. You actually get a warning level just for trying to access it. It's one of those dark jokes Rockstar threw in the mess with curious players.
Come on, give me a break. I'm new in this country.
After you take over Diaz's mansion in Vice City, it becomes the Vercetti estate, and that place is massive. However, there's not a single bathroom in the entire building. You can explore the whole place and still won't find one. GTA and swearing pretty much go hand in hand, but you would be surprised to know that Tommy never says the F word. Not even once throughout the entire game. It's hard to believe, especially at how angry he gets in some cutscenes.
You call this handling it? You two, off your asses.
But yeah, he somehow keeps it clean, well, cleaner than most.
Tommy Vercetti just doesn't cut and run.
If you've ever visited a police station in GTA Vice City, you can find a police uniform in the locker room. It looks cool and all, but for the longest time, I had no idea what it was good for. Turns out, you can use it to get inside the military base without the soldiers freaking out and going full attack mode on you. In GTA San Andreas, if you head over to Angel Pine, there's a clock and bell with some trash cans outside. If you look inside, you will find maps of Vice City tossed in the garbage, and these aren't just random textures either. They're actually early beta versions of the Vice City map that never made it into the final game. So yeah, Rockstar literally threw the old map designs by putting them in a trash can. In GTA 3, you will sometimes spot NPCs walking around with these headphones on. At first, it just seems like a visual detail, but if you stand close enough to them, you can hear the music coming from their headphones. And that's GTA 3 we're talking about here. In GTA Vice City, you will collect these weird Tiki statues for rewards, and for the longest time, it's not really clear why you're collecting them, but after completing the mission, rub out, and taking out Diaz, if you go back to Tommy's room at the Ocean View Hotel, you will notice a broken Tiki statue on the table with, guess what, drugs inside of it. So yeah, turns out those innocent looking collectibles were basically drug stashes the whole time. We were just too young to figure that out back then.
Okay, let's see what kind of shit I've inherited with this place.
Speaking of things dumb me didn't realize back then, remember that mission in Vice City where Tommy drives around in an ice cream truck? Yeah, well,
still, you know, I hear there's good money in ice cream.
If you've ever tried pulling off a wheelie on a bike at full speed in an old GTA game, you probably notice it doesn't really work. You kinda have to start slow, but for some weird reason, that only happens when you're riding north. In every other direction, you can actually pull off a wheelie even at high speed. No clue why it works like that, but yeah, apparently direction matters in wheelie physics. If you line up all the main GTA game covers, you will notice a pattern here. Every single one has a helicopter in the top left image. No idea why Rockstar decided to stick with that, but it's been consistent across the series. Back when GTA 3 was still in beta, Rockstar made sure it get featured in the Power Station magazine, issue number, well, 69. Yeah, even back in the early 2000s, they had the same petty teen humor. Some things just never change, right? Our character can jump more than 3 times the normal ability while jumping from one train compartment to the other. This doesn't happen anywhere else in the game. The devs just give you a little invisible push to make sure you can get across. This YouTube channel actually did the math to figure it out. In GTA 4, if you zoom in with a sniper rifle and look inside the helicopter cockpit, you will spot a small hidden message that says this helicopter might crash, but we really don't care if it does. Refer to flight manual for help. Rockstar and Driver had this rivalry going on for a long time. We all know Rockstar loves making fun of other games, movies, and even social media. But in one of the Driver games, there's a mission where you have to kill all 30 characters named Timmy Vermicelli. These guys are wearing a Hawaiian shirt, clearly referencing Tommy from Vice City, and they die super quickly. I don't know what Rockstar was thinking, but he actually gave Shop, the dog, his own phone number, and even has a profile picture too. You can actually try to call him, but of course, no one picks up. But now it makes more sense how animals could call the cops on you, I guess. Rockstar loves hiding these clever messages poking fun at the players. Like in GTA San Andreas, we had this message saying there's no Easter egg here. GTA 5 does the same thing, but the messages are way more hidden. One of them is a box placed way below the map, completely out of sight. You can only find it using tools like Codewalker. When you do, it says, "This box does not exist." It's clearly not meant for regular players. Just a little joke left behind for modders to stumble upon. You might have missed this, but Cluck and Bell actually has a mascot named Cluck Norris. And yeah, it's a clever little wordplay on Chuck Norris, the action movie guy. At one point, Rockstar actually gifted their employees knuckle dusters. You know, those metal things you slap on your fingers. But since knuckle dusters are illegal in a lot of places, they found a clever workaround. They labeled them as bottle openers and gave them a fancy Rockstar branded design. GTA 4 lets you throw all kinds of stuff at NPCs. Cans, bottles, snowballs, empty containers, and even bricks. But you didn't know that you can actually hit yourself with a brick as well? Just throw it straight up in the air, then walk into the spot where it lands. And to be honest, it's totally pointless, but also kind of funny. In GTA San Andreas, there are all kinds of stats that improve the more you do something, like shooting better with more gun time, or falling off your bike less with the more you ride. There's also a luck stat that's supposed to increase your chances of winning at the casino. However, it doesn't help at all. Even if you max it out, your odds stay the same.
What?
Basically a 50-50 chance no matter what. So yeah, I have no idea why this stat even exists. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but in GTA 5, if you walk into NPCs while they're sitting, they will just drop dead. You don't punch them, you don't shove them, just a light bit of nudge, and they just fall down like they have had a heart attack or something.
Have a point to make? Good lord!
In Vice City, you will see these roller skaters just hanging out by the beach. If you shoot near them while they're on solid ground, they will run away faster than anyone. But if they're on the sandy part of the beach, they just slide in the same place, barely moving even though they're trying so hard. Inside the Libertonian Museum in GTA 4, there's a dinosaur skeleton on display. But if you walk up and read the sign next to it, it says this skeleton took a few days to make and was built by a prop artist using 21,000 polygons. Now that's just Rockstar being cheeky. Some of the older trucks in GTA 5, like Trevor's old pickup, comes with a CB radio that can pick up frequencies the regular radio stations don't. And if you're driving around the countryside, sometimes you will hear random conversations come true. People talking about how to cook meth, weird conspiracy theories, and all sorts of strange backwoods chatter.
Holy shit, did you see the recent episode of Princess Robot Bubblegum? That shiny wasabi kitty is hot as hell. Man, I wish anime characters were like that in real life.
You might already know this, but the guy running the ammunition stores in Vice City looks a little too familiar. That's because Rockstar actually used a photo of Sam Hauser, the CEO of Rockstar Games, for his face texture. They even gave him a Rockstar branded jacket, so yeah, Sam's literally in the game selling guns to Tommy. Remember Ken Rosenberg from Vice City, the shady lawyer and Tommy's right-hand man?
This is a disaster!
Well, he's the only character to appear in the final cutscene of 2 different games. He shows up at the end of Vice City, of course, but he also pops up in the final cutscene of San Andreas, after helping CJ and Mad Dog with their business.
I come in peace with Mr. Dog here, who has an announcement.
our first gold record!
In the original GTA, there was a gang called Hare Krishna. If you ran over an entire group of Hare Krishna followers, you would get a bonus with the word Goranga flashing across the screen. This Goranga is actually a real word which was popularized by the Hare Krishna movement in the 1970s. It's meant to spread peace and joy, which makes the way it's used in the game feel kinda dark. In all GTA games, if both sides of your car are completely blocked, like you have parked too close to a wall or another car, your character will simply teleport out the car. You know what happens when you hit 100% completion in GTA Vice City? Well, all Tommy gets is a shirt that says, "I completed Vice City," and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. This lighthouse in GTA 5 looks completely normal. The lights at the top rotate just like it should, until you get too close. If you look directly at it, the light spins as expected, but the moment you look away, the light just freezes in place. It's probably just Rockstar trying to keep the game optimized, I guess. During the opening cutscene of GTA 4, the Rockstar logo appears, but it's not some 2D animated image or video overlay. It's actually a 3D model placed inside the game. Someone even managed to track it down and confirm it's really there. Rockstar nearly had a real competitor. Honestly, they should have one right now. It's rare to see a studio with as much potential as Volition completely surrender every opportunity given to them. This is the story of Volition, the studio that once stood on the brink of greatness, only to end up with their own fanbase celebrating their demise. If you have never heard of them, well, you're probably better off. Rather, you never knew who they were, since the company was finally shut down last year. To understand where it all went wrong, we have to go back all the way to 2008. That was the year Rockstar released GTA 4, a game that took a much more grounded, realistic approach compared to its predecessor, San Andreas. Many players weren't happy with the shift. They didn't want a grim, serious crime drama. They wanted chaos. They wanted over-the-top action. Rockstar left an opening, and Volition was right there to fill the void. GTA 4 tried to make you feel like a struggling immigrant lost in a gritty world, while Saints Row 2 made you feel like an unstoppable force of destruction, laughing the entire time. The contrast couldn't have been greater. In Saints Row 2, you could skydive into traffic, throw people into jet engines, and create your own insane character. Meanwhile, in GTA 4, your cousin was constantly asking if you wanted to go bowling. It wasn't hard to see why many players gravitated towards Saints Row 2. The game had personality, variety, and an absurd level of freedom. Even if the visuals weren't the best, it didn't matter because the game was fun. You could blast 80s music while running from the cops, commit hilarious insurance fraud, or drive a septic truck and spray sewage all over the city. The possibilities were endless, and it worked. The internet loves a rivalry, and back then, GTA and Saints Row fans were constantly at war. Volition even embraced this, releasing a trailer that openly mocked GTA 4's more mundane side activities. Would you rather go bowling?
Or steal a septic truck and spray loads of sewage on pedestrians?
It was a direct shot at Rockstar, and people loved it. Imagine releasing only your second game and already being compared to one of the biggest studios in gaming history. That was the kind of momentum Volition had. For a moment, it looked like Volition was on the path to becoming a true competitor to Rockstar, but instead of refining what made Saints Row 2 great, they took a sharp turn in a completely different direction. Saints Row the Third was where things started to change. The game leaned heavily into absurdity, pushing comedy and wacky action to the forefront. It was still fun, but it lacked the balance that made Saints Row 2 special. The crime drama elements were gone, and while the gameplay was still enjoyable, something felt off. Then came Saints Row 4, and at that point, the franchise had abandoned all ties to reality. Players weren't gangsters anymore, they were super-powered beings inside a virtual simulation. It was entertaining in its own way, but it was no longer a GTA competitor. It had become something completely different. And then came Agents of Mayhem. This was the game that left everyone truly baffled. It wasn't a Saints Row title, but it kind of was. It had some of the same DNA, but none of the charm. It flopped so hard that Volition found itself in serious financial trouble. But instead of learning from their mistakes, they doubled down, rebooting Saints Row with a game that managed to alienate just about everyone. The characters were bland, the humor was painfully out of touch, and the gameplay lacked any of the creative spark that made Saints Row special in the first place. By the time the reboot launched, fans had already lost faith. They weren't just disappointed, they were outright angry. And when Embracer Group finally shut down Volition in 2023, many longtime fans weren't even upset. They were relieved. The studio had once shown incredible promise, but had thrown it all away, making the wrong choices at every turn. Instead of becoming Rockstar's greatest rival, they became a cautionary tale, a reminder of how quickly a beloved franchise can fall apart when a studio refuses to listen to its own audience. Looking back, it's impossible not to wonder what could have been. If Volition had simply built upon what made Saints Row 2 so beloved, could they have stood toe-to-toe with Rockstar today? We will never know, but one thing is certain, fans deserved better, and Volition had every chance to give it to them. Instead, they let it all slip away. After Saints Row 2, the franchise had something most game series never get, a real shot at greatness. It had a loyal fanbase, an identity that set it apart from GTA, and most importantly, the perfect timing to capitalize on the growing demand for open world chaos. It wasn't just seen as an alternative to GTA anymore, it was carving out its own space, doing things Rockstar wouldn't dare do. For a brief moment, it seemed like Volition was on the verge of something incredible, but looking back now, Saints Row 2 wasn't the beginning of an era, it was the peak. Everything that followed was a slow, painful decline, one disastrous decision after another, leading to one of the most frustrating downfalls in gaming history. Volition's next move was Saints Row the Third, a game that took the franchise in a very different direction. The balance between crime drama and over-the-top gameplay, one of Saints Row 2's greatest strengths, was completely abandoned. The gritty tone was gone, the street-level gang warfare replaced with cartoonish syndicates, laser guns, and a level of absurdity that made it impossible to take anything seriously. It was still a fun game, but it was clear that Volition had lost interest in competing with GTA. They didn't just want to be different, they wanted to be wacky. The problem was that in trying to be over the top, they lost what made Saints Row special. The series had gone from being a chaotic crime sandbox to something that felt like a parody of itself. For some fans, Saints Row the Third was a masterpiece. For others, it was the beginning of the end. It sold well, but it came at a cost. The franchise's identity was now completely different from what had made Saints Row 2 so beloved. Then came Saints Row 4, and whatever connection the franchise still had to its roots was completely severed. The Saints weren't gangsters anymore. The game didn't even take place in a real city. It was a superhero simulation where the protagonist, now the president of the United States, fought aliens with superpowers. If Saints Row the Third had been a departure, Saints Row 4 was a complete betrayal. The crime elements, the street gang conflicts, the sense of progression all gone. Instead, we got a game that played like Crackdown with a Saints Row skin. It was fun for what it was, but it wasn't Saints Row anymore. Fans who had been with the series since the first two games were left wondering what happened. This was supposed to be the franchise that pushed GTA to do better. Instead, it had become a joke. Literally. At this point, Volition should have recognized that they had drifted too far from what made Saints Row work. Fans wanted a return to form, they wanted the spirit of Saints Row 2 back. Instead, they got Agents of Mayhem. This game, released in 2017, was an absolute disaster. It wasn't a Saints Row game, but it existed in the same universe. It was an open-world hero shooter that no one asked for. The characters were forgettable, the humor was forced, and the gameplay felt like a stripped-down version of Saints Row without any of the charm or personality. It flopped hard. It was the first sign that Volition was truly out of touch with what their audience wanted, and yet, instead of going back to the drawing board, they doubled down on their worst instincts. At this point, Volition had one last chance. GTA 6 was still years away, fans had been begging for a Saints Row game that felt like Saints Row 2, and the industry was ready for a proper revival. So what did Volition do, you think? They made the worst possible game they could have. The Saints Row reboot, released in 2022, wasn't just bad, it was a complete rejection of everything that had made Saints Row great. The story, a bunch of social media obsessed college kids starting a gang because they couldn't afford rent. The characters, bland, unfunny, and completely forgettable. The world, lifeless, empty, and soulless. The humor, painfully out of touch, like a corporate focus group's idea of what's funny. Fans weren't just disappointed, they were angry. This wasn't a reboot, it was a total erasure of what people loved about the series. The devs ignored criticism, doubling down on their defense of the game, dismissing longtime fans as haters. But the numbers didn't lie. The game flopped hard. It was over. 1 year later, in 2023, Embracer Group finally pulled the plug on Volition. The studio was shut down permanently, and for the first time in gaming history, an entire fan base celebrated. And that's how badly Volition had fumbled Saints Row. It's tragic in a way. Volition had every opportunity to stand toe-to-toe with Rockstar. They had a passionate fan base, a unique identity, and a chance to dominate the open world genre in ways GTA never could. But instead of building what worked, they threw it all away. They alienated their fans, they abandoned their core identity, they ignored criticism, and they made one bad decision after another until there's nothing left to salvage. So here we are. Saints Row is dead, Volition is gone, and all that remains are the memories of what could have been. If Volition had just listened, if they had built upon Saints Row 2 instead of turning the franchise into a joke, who knows where they would be today. Instead, they serve as a cautionary tale, a perfect example of how ignoring your fans and losing sight of what made you special can destroy even the most promising of franchises. It didn't have to end this way, but it did, and that might be the biggest tragedy of all.